This our third show?
Yep. Even if it's not, it is now.
Did you send me a hangout request?
Not yet.
What's that other camera? Maybe I'll go to the store and buy Red Bulls on
That's what happens if you click camera.
on the show.
Opening camera, man. As guests join, hide their audio and video from my broadcast. Broadcast the large video that I see to my audience and hide the other video feeds. Okay, I don't know anything about that.
So
Eject any bad actors.
are we broadcasting?
Yeah, we're broadcasting. Let me send you a
Send me a request.
request. Invite people. Test, check, 1, 2. All right.
On the toilet paper. There's an emergency toilet paper.
Ooh.
Just in case.
She needs coffee. No viewers yet, Jim.
Oh no.
Who cares about us?
Oh, did you talk to Nathan about bringing something? Just asking. Did you tell him it was for me?
One viewer. Was that you?
No.
Did you log in yet?
No.
Hello, one viewer. We see you. Maybe another song.
I'm gonna watch the chat. Talk.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to RX Only Picture Show live. I'm only seeing one person out there. I don't know if that's our better half, the one and only Jay. There he is. You hear that?
Hello, hello.
Sound test. What happens? It sounds funny to me. Talking to his lawyer. I didn't talk to him about that. It's so hard to manage all this stuff. My God. I don't know how these people do this. One person watching. That can't be you. Who's watching? Push K on your keyboard if you're watching this right now.
Yeah, you're kind of picking up in. You keep getting picked up in my microphone here.
Oh, that's better.
Sounds terrible. Maybe we better quit playing the guitar. Yeah. Let's do this. Attitude. Well, so far, folks, it's a lot harder to do this without the help of Adam Lore. Adam Lore, if you're out there, please, please come save us. Oh, I forget Jim's here. Hi, Jim.
Hey there.
Who did that? His? They're gonna put me in the movie. They're gonna make a big star out of me. Gonna film a scene about minutes and lonely. And all I gotta do is act naturally. Well, I bet you I'm gonna be a big star. Might win an Oscar, you can never tell. We'll get some viewers now. The movies are gonna make me a big star. 'Cause I can play the part oh so well. Well, I hope you come and see me at the movies. When I'm sure that you can plainly see the biggest fool ever hit the big time. And all I gotta do is act naturally. Well, I bet you're gonna be a big star. Might win an Oscar, you can never tell. The movies are gonna make me a big star. 'Cause I can play the part oh so well. Well, I hope you come and see me at the movies. Made a mistake. Not very well rehearsed, folks. Please forgive us. Well, I'm sure that you can plainly see the biggest fool to ever hit Warski Live. And all you gotta do is act naturally. This doesn't seem right to me. Hey, we're ranking up 3 viewers, man. 3 viewers. Woohoo! Yeah! We've been waiting for you guys, and we're so glad you're here. We're just getting warmed up on the guitar, but I think we're going to have to get serious now. Knock this off. All right. So, we need a vote of confidence here from you 3 viewers. Should we continue with music? Talk about World War III. It's coming up. If you haven't been watching Mind in the Press, World War III is coming up. It's going to be, let's see, I think it's the United States at the behest of Israel versus versus China and Russia as a tag team with Iran as their dark horse in the corner. So we can talk about that. We can always talk about other stuff. I think these viewers are fake.
What's this?
That's me.
Well, I thought that was you.
That is that. I think that just shows me.
These are different, I think.
No, they're the same. That's just showing that you're getting a signal.
Okay. Cool. So I'm about a half a second behind you with this phone call, with the Hangouts.
Even in the Hangout?
Yeah, even in the Hangout.
Because I've got the YouTube screen pushed over to the side here because that is a weird distraction. Those of you that have streamed live with Hangouts on YouTube understand that you have to mute YouTube. Hey, there's Jim.
Hey.
What did you put on? Is that a frog?
Yeah, that's my silver frog.
It's a sterling silver frog. If you want to buy one of those, let us know, folks.
Give you a great deal.
They're only about half done right now, but if you want us to finish one up in original fine art. Hey, what's up, Sid? I'm here and not fake. That's the truth. People don't understand. If you're reading the chat, if you're one of the other viewers, Lone Zen Warrior is here, and he's not fake. And when I say he's not fake, I mean he's from Texas, so watch your fucking back, man. Mind your manners. We don't know what we're doing, Zane. We don't know what we're doing, man. We just we told everyone we go live. We had a guest scheduled. He said next week, so we're gonna wait till next week. And I was thinking about. I think I might draw a picture or use some of my oil pastels here in a minute. We're waiting on another member of this strange entourage vaudevillian show. So what the hell? All right, Jim, you're gonna have to talk for a minute. I gotta get something to drink.
All right. Well, let's see. Hey, everybody. How's it going? It's another beautiful Wednesday out here in Walla Walla. Thanks. It's always nice to see you. Our subscribers. Anyway, World War III, huh? Pretty crazy. China and Russia and everything. How did the music sound? How's it going, Lone Zen Warrior? Hold on a second.
Can I have this?
Yeah.
All right. We're getting that. Oh, here we go.
Come on in.
I'm here, not fake. I always love to see you, bro. What's up, Jim?
Oh, I forget there's a delay. There should be a delay on the chat, but he's got to be delayed. It's
All
all fear
porn,
porn.
yeah.
It is
That's
all
right.
fear porn.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Guess what, folks? It's the end of the world again. They've only been having them since before they had television. Now they can have the end of the world all week. That inspires me. I can play a song about that. Here, hold on. Let's drink something that's not good for you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you come back and watch this later or you're spying on me, quit drinking alcohol, and I advise it to anybody. You wouldn't believe what it's like to wake up in the morning. It's crazy. Your mouth's not all dry. You don't feel like shit. You can show up to appointments on time. For real. I mean, like you go like out of bed and get dressed, like even take a shower and go straight to work. It's crazy. All right, so let's try again here.
You said that we sounded rough.
Sounds rough, bad acoustics. Yeah, we just got this one mic right now. So maybe I'll go grab that acoustic guitar instead of that electric one.
Yeah, that's probably a better idea. We've got more guitars upstairs. Always got to keep running back and forth, it seems like. We've got a mascot here. This is Tom the cat. He likes to listen to the music. Be like right in the center of the show.
All right. Well. I guess we could point this thing a little bit more this way.
Hi, everybody.
Kidding.
Spotlight on Tom. Oh, getting a call.
Get a call.
Cool kid. You see him?
Yeah, I held him up.
Oh, you held him up. Tom is a cool cat, man. It does not surprise me that you have 6. They are probably mousers, huh? It's a lot more in tune. If you meet a guitar player and he doesn't know this song, don't listen to him.
in the local area here. His name was Cadillac. And at the open mics way back in the day, the old Roadhouse here in town, he'd sit in the second and third row and he'd order beers and he'd shout at the lesser players and he'd say things like, "Play something you know," or "Practice at home." Especially if they didn't know how to play that song. This one. I'll show you a trick, folks. So you should know how to do that. If you're going to learn this guitar thing, you should know how to do that. And listen for the wah-wahs. That's pretty close, but it still doesn't sound right to me. Echo is rough. Oh man, it's probably hitting those headphones.
Oh yeah.
Didn't think about that. Thank you, Zin. See, we got our sound engineers all the way in Texas, ladies and gentlemen. Test 1, 2. So another thing you can do is you temper the string just a little bit. Match the G to the G. Play these two open and adjust the B string. Play these two middle ones open and adjust that D string. Did the echo go away? 5th fret tuning. Yeah, that's what I did first, 5th fret tuning. Now I'm tempering the strings. G. B. D. Sounds pretty good. Still not happy with it, boys and girls. I just ran over here and threw it on live. So if you're watching this live or you come around and seeing this later, I apologize. But I figured it was more important to hit the button than to make everybody wait. Look at that camera. It doesn't know what to do. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Yeah, it's the room, man. That's what eventually we'll have a sound engineer over here, no joke. But we're just bootstrapping it, man. Bootstrapping it. Is it better if I play quiet? Come on down to where them tracks cross High Street. You can watch the whole world go insane. See them lighters hit the rocks in the bushes with them stars coming down like rain. Here she comes, just a skin and bone skeleton. She's a fool for the crack cocaine. She got a baby living right outside the city, man. She don't even remember his name. Well, his name is Adolf Hitler, Albert Einstein, Jesse James. Oh hey, the greatest to say. Everything inside's got to be so. Well, it's not right. The mic's the problem. I believe you. I spent good money on this microphone too. Well, maybe I'm standing too close to the thing. This might fix it. That might fix it, being I'm not talking right on top of it. See? Ideally, that mic could be about like that. That's about where we want it. Kind of pointed at the guitar and me. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on down where them tracks cross High Street. You can watch the whole world go insane. Heat a ladder, hit the rocks in the bushes with them storms coming down like rain. Here she comes, just a skinny bone skeleton. She's a fool for the crack cocaine. She got a baby living right outside the city, man. She don't even remember his name. Well, his name is Adolf Hitler, Albert Einstein, Jesse James. Oh hey, to the greatest to say. Everything inside's got to be so. Oh hey, it's to work or to jail. And their clothes and their clothes on the world. Life, if you want to, really is kind of funny. This world is hard, you ain't crash test study. Hurts them deep, man, the kids is gone. And the television is always on. It says, save the children, but Dr. Bond, replace word right now. Put word wrong. Well, there's a big sale on Tuesday, better get it before it's gone. Get your picture with the 4 horsemen for a night roll song. Now that they got everything, they'd like to say you some more. Hey, to the greatest to say. Everything inside's got to be so. That's right. Oh hey, it's to work or to jail. And their clothes and their goes on the world. Take this pill now and put it on your tongue. It keeps you acting just like everyone. Keeps you from feeling good, bad, ugly, crazy, dumb. It's not a joke, God damn it, I give it to my only son. Ooh, now no one's gonna get arrested, no one's having any fun. Doctors order for your heartbeat now, come on, get you on. Now you're dumber than a singing song playing uncomfortably numb. Well, it's a Thorazine work party with free floor bubble gum. If you wander like a zombie out into the midday sun, oh hey, it's the greatest to say. Everything inside's got to be so. Oh yeah, it's to work or to jail. And their clothes and their doors, closing them doors. Yes, they're closing them doors on the world. Well, we made it all the way through our first song, RX Only Picture Show. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I see all 4 of you out there, and we got it all going on here, man. Technical difficulties, not enough drugs, you name it. I don't even have a guitar stand. Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Jim's right over here. Give me a hand, ladies and gentlemen. It's J-E-M, folks. J-E-M. We need canned laughter. We need canned laughter. Canned applause. All right. Now, if you haven't tried this new green slime, it's new, what's the brand name?
I think it's Kratom.
It's a green dye.
Green dye.
Yeah, new green dye brand.
Bitter green dye.
Oh yeah. Some people take it with honey, but I prefer the bitter, horrible flavor of this herb. But yeah, that's a song written by a band that I'm pretty fond of. I saw them live about 2 years ago. They're called The Devil Makes Three. It's You and me and the devil makes three. And you can tell they kind of got that vibe going on, you know. You go to their live show and they've got lights coming up out of the floor on stands and lights hanging down from the ceiling on ropes. And behind them is a great big gold and white scarab beetle with all of its wings wide open. Makes me wonder if they're not flat earthers. But yeah, the devil makes three. What was that? I played that song because we were talking about World War III coming. World War III. And, you know, I see that we're up to 5 people. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Please come in and have a seat. It's fine that you're late. No overcharge this week. You know, World War III, Iran and Russia. Wait, no, it's China and Russia with Iran as the maybe. And then it's, you know, most people will tell you, well, most controversial people that don't watch Fox News and shit will tell you that Israel is telling the United States what to do. So they go and they catch Trump's apartment tower on fire and raid his lawyer's office because he hired Russians to help him on Facebook. But now we're going to fight Russia in World War III. And people tell us we're crazy just because we say the earth looks flat. I don't know. I think that's weird, man. What do you guys think? Well, I like that song, Devil Makes Three, because they say you can get your picture with the 4 horsemen for a nominal sum. Notice they don't name the price. That's pretty common anymore.
Nominal.
The nominal sum, you know. Get the picture now, and we'll charge you when you hit the end of the line over here. So we'll take the picture, and that lady collects the money. Come on, Tom. Get on the camera here. This is Tom, the actual star of the show. So yeah, it's a Thorazine work party with free fluoride bubblegum. I don't know about you guys, but I quit intentionally putting fluoride in my body a long time ago. And I told everybody too. I told them, hey, this is a neurotoxin and a poison. They used it in concentration camps to keep the people docile. You should stop taking it. And then like a year and a half ago, people started passing around this article on Facebook that says, hey, fluoride's a neurotoxin. It's not good for you. The scientific study said it's true. So I guess if you need like 7 years for a scientific study to come out, you could wait and keep taking poison that long, or you could just fucking stop taking it now. You know? I don't know. Today, I unfriended and blocked 2 in real life people on my Facebook page because they keep tagging me to this picture of some dumbass went to the top of Mount Everest and made a selfie of himself with a damn fisheye lens. Like, that's how stupid us flat earthers really are, right? We're slaving over our computer and actually looking out the window on airplanes. We're testing the temperature of the moon outside with a thermometer. Some of us are going out on the beach with a tripod and a telescope and having other people go out in a boat with a mirror, actually physically testing the nature of the world that we live in, and we're scratching our heads like, damn, it seems like it's flat. That's weird. Whole bunches of people, scientists in Brazil just did it. They made some interesting tests. I think their whole little movie's a shill bit, but they still made some interesting tests. And here people are going to tag you on Facebook and say, oh, look, guy took a selfie on Mount Everest. It's curved. Boy, if the curve in that selfie on Mount Everest is the curvature of the earth, then the world's even smaller than Walt Disney said it was in that stupid song in Disneyland. I mean, it's only about that big, man. That is. Oh, I won't come out of there. I was going to pull the mouse out of that trackball. The ball out of that track mouse. How do you say that again?
Trackball?
Track mouse balls?
Mouse balls.
Track. I bet you that's what they do at the FBI when they're bored. They track mouse balls. Yeah, well, next week we intend to have a local celebrity and the inheritor of an unbelievably complicated pile of merchandise. It's a man named Michael McGuinn, and here locally where we live, we have the largest and the oldest independent-owned record store, and I am perfectly happy to plug it, even on this controversial YouTube channel with 3 viewers. That's Hot Poop. And if you've never been to Hot Poop, if you come to Walla Walla, Washington, you should. I would recommend going to Hot Poop over tasting any other wine, because it's better, and the flavor's weirder too. The son of the man who owns that record store, Principal Poop himself, his heir apparent, hopefully will join us next week, and he's got his own business, but he's also the manager of some interesting musical acts, and some of them are SoundCloud rappers, and some of them are punk rockers, and so I'm hoping that we can get his whole little entourage and crew to not only let's get Mr. McGuinn in here, but I'm really hoping that they'll all tweet and share and go out on Facebook and make it into kind of a. I'm really hoping next week this is kind of a candid affair, really loose at the hip. Maybe we'll start touching this beautiful piece of canvas here in a minute. But next week, I'm hoping that we've got 5 or 10 people in the hangout, and they've got tattoos all over their faces, and they're kicking out freestyle rap, and so. Yeah, I just remembered. Yeah, so I guess for some people that's good. For other people, like Zen over here in the chat, Zen, you might not enjoy next week, man. If we got SoundCloud rappers trying to freestyle verses, I don't know. Can't please everybody all the time. I had so after I kicked these people off my Facebook page, I didn't tell them. You know, I'm always kind and polite to people, and then when they're not kind and polite to me, I just disappear. Because otherwise I got to stab them or something. I don't want to do that. But so then I went and made an all caps post on my own timeline like, hey, don't tag me in every stupid flat earth post that you find and be a jerk. Be kind, be polite, and I'll do the same. And it blew up. You know, a bunch of people come jumping in and have their little piece. But amazingly enough, everyone was polite. Everyone was nice, and people disagreeing but getting along. Like, wow. Because I'll tell you the one thing, and I know that a lot of people that are flat earthers along with me out here on the internet, and there's a lot of us folks. Most people just don't have the balls to be as stupid as I am and say, yeah, I think it's flat. There's lots of people sitting at their desk right now somewhere at work, secretly thinking about the earth being flat and not telling anybody, even their own wife. They're just keeping it to themselves. They're scared. But I think they brought it out on purpose. You're seeing a huge change in the world. Oh, nice. It's true. Sugar Hill. Well, if you're here next week and they're here, we'll tell them they got to bust that out for you soon. We'll see. I'm gonna butter old Mikey up all week this week. He said next week. I'm gonna hold him to it. You can't burn me on my live show. The difference between me and Howard Stern, I'm not a Jew. Just kidding, Howard. But yeah, a lot of these people that have been at this a long time, and Zen's one of them. Somebody who's been at this a long time, reading and studying a lot of oddball, far out conspiracy crap for years and years. You start to be able to read between the lines, and it's not just a coincidence that they've got Mark Sargent, Patricia Steer, Jeranism, and at least 50 other very notable, popular characters that coincidentally have all the time, money, and effort to go to conferences, stream and make videos 24 hours a day with nice, fancy graphics, go out and do experiments in boats. And, it's not a coincidence. And so I think the purpose behind it is to divide people. Just like religion divides people, just like abortion divides people, just like politics divides people. They got to keep everybody disagreeing, you know. And if you can all just remain kind, loving, considerate, patient with one another, well, that's just going to make the difference in your real life, man. Not about the flat earth, about everything. Shit, be kind and patient at the grocery store when you're waiting in line at the courthouse to get your tabs. It's key. It's important.
Amen, brother.
Amen, man. Wonder who else is out there. 4 viewers. Don't be shy, ladies and gentlemen. We need evidence. Other, we don't trust. I mean, if I think the Earth's flat, you think I trust this 4 viewers thing over here? Come on now. You gotta tell me what's up. I thought for sure those people that were on my Facebook page would jump right in here. Yeah, it may backfire on him. Yeah, I don't know if you're in here looking at the chat, you should.
Water is always level.
It is always level, man. If anybody's ever built anything big, they know, because you have to get a great big long clear tube and run it clear to that end, and dump the water in, make sure there's no bubbles, and then bring that side up real slow until it's level, not until it's slightly curved. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna take these headphones off. But what if I do that? Did the echo go away? Can you hear echo in there?
No, but my headphones are like a second
you're
delayed.
Right with me. I know, it's weird. Yeah, I'll bet.
20 years as a master carpenter tells me it's flat as fuck.
Yeah. I think Zen's pulled out more nails than I've ever driven. What next here? Let's see. If I set this thing away from the mic, maybe it won't give us no echo. I'm tethered to it, tied to it here. That's the reset button. And now, for my next trick, let's see. A little bit lighter subject matter. You guys ever heard of the Bogdanov twins? You ever look up these French Bogdanov twins? Anybody? Anybody out there? Yeah, I really think I think the mic probably is going to sound better. When I was doing that one show with JF and yeah, I believe he's in. When I did the show with JF and Worski, I stuck this on there because I didn't want my piece to pop. But if I'm using this kind of like a boom, it should be okay without it. Eventually we really do have sound engineers. It's not a joke. So let's see, there's a start. It's a reference here.
Oh, the internet reference.
All right.
Yeah, you got. Sometimes you got to print up a reference, but sometimes you can just look. Okay, so here we go. Can't really see that. Here comes. There's a Bogdanov. So the Bogdanov twins are these French billionaires, and all the funny kids that do everything for a laugh on the internet. They make up all these wild, stupid conspiracies around these two twins. And these guys used to be really handsome when they were young. I mean, they were handsome. They were handsome young Frenchmen. And they went and did a bunch of this plastic surgery, and man, they messed their faces up. They look all goofy, like they got an extra chin, and like put some padding in the cheekbone, and their hair's all weird. And so looking at that, I was thinking, man, as an artist, that's phenomenally weird. That's like not regular anatomy. Like they went and physically changed their anatomy. Ugh. So I already started a sculpture. I don't have it here. It's at the shop. But I have a digital mock-up. I figured maybe we'd start to see if this is safe here. Start the process. Transfer old box here onto this. I wonder if I can get that lamp over here a little better. Yeah. That's not going to work. Be warned, we were live on the internet right now. So. Got a third secret member of the group. I'm not sure if he's wanting to be on camera, so. We've only got about 4 viewers right now, so. Oh, okay.
Have you heard of the Bogdanov twins?
No.
Okay, so I mussed this all up, but I think I'm gonna try and make a picture of it. These guys
Oh,
are
nice.
French twins. Then
That totally looks like your style of like paintings and stuff that you do. Or is that something you did?
yeah, I modified this picture
Okay.
digitally, so because I was gonna transfer.
Okay.
How's it going?
Oh, good. Good. Oh.
So yeah, the camera's right here. So if,
Oh, cool.
just so you know, I mean, you
Cool. Oh yeah. No,
your
I don't mind
is
at all.
not allowed to be on, but
I don't mind at
I don't
all.
want you to wander over here if you don't want to.
No. Thanks for the heads up.
Adam came last week. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
Adam, and then Adams didn't want to be on camera, so he sat over here and let me interview him, but he didn't want to be on.
Nice. That sounds about par for Adam.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, I'm monitoring it, and I think there's a girl upstairs doing it. So yeah, Frankenstein Brothers, exactly. That's it. So I'm gonna start. Here. See what I can do. Let's see closer. I know as we slowly develop this thing, we'll get some. We'll get some viewership. We'll get a little bit more organized. We'll get a little bit more technically sound. Hey man, do you think Jakob would be interested? Oh, the homie walked away. I don't know where he went. So let's see. Just the camera here. Top of his head. Like that. Yeah, sure enough. Light's not good, great, but that's all right. Yeah, I became fascinated with the Bogdanov twins because of the fact that they're, well, I love that all the people on the chans, like 4chan, 8chan and stuff, and it might be a little bit old shoe now, you know. I'm an older guy, so I don't know if you ever heard of, yes, I am left-handed. I don't know if you ever heard of Fellow Kids. Fellow Kids is like, that's like when the old folks try and get along with the current meme scene on the internet, and it's obvious that they're not hip, man. And I'm kind of proudly a fellow kid, you know. Like I have to ask the young teenagers, what's a popular meme? Like if you never looked up, I have osteoporosis. You gotta check that out. That's a pretty funny meme. Portions right. Now, I don't know if I've ever tried to perform doing this. I need much better light. I need this light up. I thought of that. Just sit around with these. That probably helps me and not you. So let's see. Here, put over here like that. Here, over here, over here on this side. Big old goofy shield.
We'll take the light away so you can see, huh? Getting a start there. Boy, we need better everything, huh? I bet these guys are spending thousands and thousands of dollars. I don't know, I need an extension cord. These guys are spending a lot of money on gear. That's not bad. So there's a start. I'm trying to do this so that people can see progress as you go. Okay, so there's no box. Now you rough it out in pencil like this, it doesn't matter if it's perfect because we're going to cover all this up. And I don't tend to make this perfect because it's just oil pastel. I bought some oil pastels at a secondhand store. And I figured we can start the process. Transfer. And we'll see when you get back, brother. How's life treating you, man?
Good. Pretty good.
Not bad so far, right? Just for a quick sketch on, throw it on there.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
Just start. Nice. So people made a bunch of memes of these guys. Like they used to be just handsome young Frenchmen, and they screwed their face all up with plastic surgery. And there's like pictures of them in space suits.
I was gonna say that looks like the Smashing Pumpkins bass player, the chick that had all those plastic surgeries, and now she looks like that.
Oh, really?
It's sad.
Oh,
yeah.
that makes me want to look her up.
You have to look her up. I'll get a picture on my phone really quick. Her name's like
Hey,
Darcy
Jeff Moore. Mujahideen. How's it going, man? We were just played a little bit of music talking about World War III coming. This guy actually right here that just jumped into the chat, folks. He's a reasonable expert on a lot of things because he understands something I always mention, which is communitarianism. And if you've never heard of it, never looked it up, you need to look it up. If you're concerned about the state of the world and where it's going, communitarianism is what it's all about, man. But me and this gentleman have been studying side by side a long time about that subject, and I know that he follows the international details of what we call realpolitik more closely than most people do. But yeah, when we first started, I was talking a little bit about the looks like Russia's going to team up with China, and we're going to all go to war over what's going on in Syria, and people are making the allegation that Israel is trying to push the United States into war by flying over and bombing people and trying to make us all scared. And I'd say for most people, it's probably working. Me personally, I'm really not scared.
So check this out. There's her kind of hot little mousy looking girl.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she does. We have to throw her in the mix.
Darcy Retsky. That's what it reminds me.
So yeah, my friend just pointed out to me here the portrait that I've just started is of one of the two Bogdanov twins, and I'm not sure which one. But my friend just pointed out that the apparently this problem of taking a lot of money and paying a plastic surgeon to really screw your face up so you don't look like yourself anymore. That's a thing, man.
She was dating Mickey Rourke for a while.
Oh, God. She was dating Mickey Rourke?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So that could probably explain
a lot
of it.
Who are you talking about?
So, yeah, for anyone who just tuned in, there's one of the bogs, and here's me starting to make him on canvas. Can't really see it because the lighting in here is bad. For those of you that are here with us on these early shows, you'll be able to brag when we're huge and we're sitting in a studio that you were there when they were doing it on a shoestring with the worst possible equipment. But yeah, Mujahideen, man, totally no pressure. But when you're ready, I would love to have more of a serious take and sit and really go over some global politics. It's ironic for a flat Earth guy to say that, global politics. Or should we call it the politics of the plane? Yeah, plane politics. Well, that's just it. You're not allowed to talk plane politics. No such thing. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep sketching on this thing. Cool.
Oh, heck, do it. I've got a little GoPro like 4. I wonder if it would be better than what you guys have.
Yeah, it
right
probably
now.
will be. And Jim's got one too. I figure eventually we'll just set up a whole bunch of that type of stuff.
I'm gonna buy one of those Electro Voice broadcast mics, like the Shure SM7. But I heard the Electro Voice is like an RE20. I heard it's a lot better than the Shure, so I've been looking
Really,
around.
it's better
for
than the
those.
SM7?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Because
People like them more.
I played a song earlier and dude said it didn't sound very good. And so I had the pop guard on it just because when I was on that broadcast, I was pretty much up on the mic and I didn't want it to pop. You know?
Right.
I tried to set up to guard and it wasn't right. So.
Yeah, it's gonna peak out a little bit if you get too close. So.
Right. So.
But yeah, once I get one of those,
yeah,
you guys are
just-
welcome to. I'll bring it over.
Yeah, man. I mean, I figured. Do you think Yako's down or he's still stuck with his kid? Or?
Probably. I know that his girlfriend gets off about like 4 or 5 in the afternoon every day. She works during the week. So like right about this time is their time to spend time like together right after she gets off work.
Right.
And then she goes to work. She's got to get up at like 4 in the morning. So but I'm sure that's the only hurdle. He loves to do stuff like this.
Well,
and
even
set
if
it up. And,
yeah, that's what I figure. If we could get him over here, even on an off day,
yeah.
He could help us to dial everything in. Let's see.
Yeah, keep going on the painting. I want to see how it turns out.
So we'll add some color here and see if we can get some textures.
Let's see if I can find it and log in.
I can send you the link.
I think I've got you subscribed here, so I should be able to get to it pretty quick. Already subscribed.
It's like you have to actually divide your attention pretty effectively, like to think about doing this and keep talking. Start to have real respect for people that do things live. I've never tried to do a painting or a picture as a performance before. Almost all musical performance, never picture or painting. So this is kind of a yeah. There's definitely a delay from what you're seeing there because I'm on the.
I know that's about 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's got 20 seconds.
So did you see all those Apple Maps cars that were in town like the last couple weekends? Do you know? I don't know. Are they trying to compete with Google? I'm assuming they have like cameras, a rack of cameras around the top. We went to Lewiston to go get that gear I posted about, and we counted like 7.
Really?
Just from here to Lewiston.
Wow.
I mean, I've been seeing them around like all week.
No, I haven't seen
that,
them in Walla Walla.
I'm gonna have to look it up and see.
Yeah, I haven't seen him. I saw one time on the way up north to the Spokane area, but it wasn't Apple or Google. It was another company. The name escapes me.
Oh, okay.
Right now. It's not that severe.
Yeah, there's no news about it, but I know that they must be really trying to. I mean, it's just crazy to think about how daunting something like that is to go around and literally map out America. You know, it's like
why? It's gotta be a
why?
great job if someone else has put all the infrastructure and everything in place. I mean, I assume anyway that's just gotta be a fucking what a chill job.
Yeah,
Like learn how to run all these cameras, and then
just drive all day. Yeah,
drive like as long as you possibly can until you either fill up all your. I don't know. Do you think it streams straight to the cloud? I've never looked it up.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
So we were talking about it all the way up though, because we were bored. My radio's broken in my car. We were talking about how they must have to like grid it out, and it must be like a huge thing. But man, just the cost of one of those cars alone with all those cameras, I can't even imagine. I mean, it's hard to believe that something like that is actually worth it. You know, that it's going to pay off for them spending all this money to pay the people to drive around and to buy the cars with the maps and stuff. But I know the Apple Maps has kind of been the laughing stock compared to like Google.
Yeah,
like
that
Google
might be
like
it.
way better.
They're
So
trying to. Maybe Apple is trying to catch up.
I think they're trying to save some face. So. So is that an actual picture on your phone? Was that like a real like?
It's a photograph that I modified the hell out of
and
digitally.
then
Yeah.
you modified it. Okay.
And then just to rough out the idea. And the thing is, I
Right.
said earlier, maybe you weren't down here, but I started a sculpture
Oh,
because
nice.
these guys' features are so jacked up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like they've screwed their faces all up. That's
Yeah.
funny. To me, it looks better on the camera than it does here because I'm critical.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not an artist and you're watching this, the thing you do is we call cutting it in, or roughing it in. So you're always trying to get even all the way down to 90% of it done without what we call final details. You can't come over here and draw the eye perfectly and then expect to catch the rest of this up. That's not going to work. You know, so you rough everything in. I haven't done really anything to add any shading now. I guess right now what I would do is, because it's so dark in the background now, I would probably like bring some contrast to draw this guy's face out of here the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Like that, maybe peel some of that paper off there. Bring some contrast in here. So that, but even in the background, roughing it in so that you're not, you don't want to hammer this so that it's completely filled in, but you want his head to stand out from the rest of the detail. But yeah, I wonder, dude, if it really is about things being profitable anymore, or if they're just literally kind of trying to get the whole world on lock.
Yeah.
And it's not about money as much as it is about having, like, I don't know. Have you ever seen people compare George Orwell's 1984 versus Aldous Huxley's A Brave New World? This is a pretty common comparison of like which horrible fantasy of the future became more true, right?
Yeah.
Like this is a pretty common debate on the internet, and I think honestly it's both. I don't think it's like one or the other.
Yeah.
I think
There are
we're
definitely parts of
probably
both.
seeing more of Huxley's Brave New World in the West, in our part of the world, than and if you go to South America, it's probably more like George Orwell.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably more machine guns and more tanks.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about the way Huxley said it was going to go is that it was going to be everybody. You know, there's in the book there's lots of movies, lots of drugs, lots of sex. Like sex is encouraged as a pastime, even amongst children. And so now you're seeing like the normalization of. Have you seen the normalization of pedophilia kind of in the media? Like it's, you know, not pushing really hard, but the, you know, the subject's there. And then if you look a little deeper, there's some people that are like, well, it's an affliction and they need to do this and they need to do that. It's like, so, and that ties into that book. So I wonder sometime if it's not a big brother game more than it is a profit game. I mean, I don't think Apple's dying for profits, but they are dying to make sure that their data is as good or better as anybody else's. So that's
totally. I think it's a bragging rights, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
It's a lot to do with it.
yeah,
too.
exactly.
Yeah.
Bragging rights on the front side and functionality on the back side.
Yeah.
When's the most recent picture of Sean's house? We need to take a look at it.
Yeah. No kidding. No kidding. Let's look up Apple Maps really quick and see what they have us.
It's kind of weird to think. There we go. Quite right, folks. That's right. Still just roughly different. See, there's a big piece of a collar out here. Like that. There's some buttons in here. Go this way. His eyes really.
I wonder if that's if their maps is an app that's forced on us. I'm gonna have to look and see. Which it probably
Which
is.
map?
The Apple Maps app. Try to find it. They have
Check this out, man. And that this is. You said you watched the Adam interview.
Yeah.
That's the picture he drew, and that's a lot like the flat Earth model that we've been describing. So it's really far out to see my brother.
The gentleman from last week, if you heard last week, he's a far superior artist as far as the degree of practice and ability that he has. We're both artists, but Adam Lohr, boy oh boy. If we had to do this side by side, I'd be embarrassed.
Thank you. Organic. Perfect.
Uh-oh.
Would you like a drink?
Why not? Let's stay up all night.
Let's get ripped on caffeine.
Hey, more drugs, boys and girls.
Yep.
So, do me a favor, Jim. Look at that thing and tell me what's wrong with it. Not what's wrong, but like the nose. I think I had the nose too high to start. So. Seems like this is sticking out a little too far.
Oh, that is tasty.
Why doesn't it look good? Nose.
Maybe his nose is a little bigger than in your picture.
Even bigger. Yeah, that's what it is.
Make that white ridge right there, you know, so that you can
That's what
center it out.
That's the
and then-
mistake I made, was that I put color where really that's like the lightest part of the whole drawing. Like right here above his lip is really light, and then there's a spot where his nose comes up. Like all that needs to kind of hide out.
I kind of do it backwards. Like I like to hit the dark spots first, so that I know where they're at. And
Yeah,
then,
that's what I did, but then I put a dark spot where there wasn't one. So I can see that kind of corrected it. This needs to hide all this kind of
do you need an eraser?
I don't know.
Or can you erase?
I don't know if it'll erase.
Oh, you're using oil pastels.
Pastels like this. Let's see what happens.
A little smearing. Oops.
It's not bad.
So I did some more math talking about airplane fuel.
Oh yeah.
You know how we found out yesterday that
Oh yeah. Here, by the way, Nathan, here's yet another conspiracy to throw on the list. Apparently, the new conspiracy, folks, if you haven't seen it, is that jet planes don't actually use fuel. Now, we don't believe that, but we also think that the math. Apparently, Jim's found out something about the math. But the math is funny.
yeah, well, according to Wikipedia, the Boeing 747 holds 202 tons of jet fuel. And then I did some math, and that would take like a little bit over 30 full-size semi-tanker trucks to fill up 30
Inside of one plane?
Yeah, so 101 tons per wing. Of
So
jet
that's
fuel.
so only 15 per wing.
Yeah, only 15 per
We
wing.
just need 15 tanker trucks per wing. Jeez.
How can that? Well, what's? I mean, the total weight of the 747 was like 300 and like something small, like 316 tons. So it's over 2/3 fuel weight. It doesn't seem.
How does that make sense?
Seem
with
right.
How does that make sense when the wing has to flex like?
When they make it out of aluminum, right?
I mean, the wings. We've all sat. I love sitting over the wing when I fly. That's
Yeah,
where I want to sit.
it's a safe
I wanna
spot.
sit over the wing. It's the most stable part.
It's got
and
the most
I get to watch the
tanker trucks in
functionality
it.
of the mechanics of the airplane. And the wings, if it's get turbulence, you have this.
Yeah, a wing
If you
wiggle.
filled it full of water, kerosene, filled full of kerosene, it wouldn't do that. I don't know, man. Pardon me, folks. I'm gonna have to answer something.
It might. Wouldn't the wings be like almost straight up in the air when they get empty? Because they would be weighed down with
Yeah.
100 tons of fuel, and
I
then
don't
they
understand.
would pop back up.
Has anybody else looked at this? How strange.
It's pretty interesting.
So yeah, the theory that I saw that is that they're burning a little bit of fuel, but that it's really just compressing the air. And then people started to say, well, it's compressed air, like the whole airplane's full of air tanks or something. Like, no, it's just that it's just that the jet is compressing the air, and that's pushing a jet of air out behind it.
You
I
know
mean,
what?
that makes sense. There's not like there's a whole bunch of black smoke coming out of every jet we've seen. It's always just contrails, and of course,
Yeah.
you know that then you start to contaminate this conversation with a chemtrail
Chemtrails.
conversation. You know, I remember being a kid. I remember them cutting X's in the sky everywhere. So they're doing something. Well, it's not that I think that they're doing something, folks. If you haven't looked up chemtrails and the fact that they admit that they're putting lithium, aluminum, strontium, barium. I mean, this isn't even like a crazy theory
Yeah,
anymore.
it's on the Harvard website.
Yeah, they
Geoengineering.
tell you they've been geoengineering for as long as they've had airplanes, so it's not. Pardon me here. I'm gonna
Solar remediation is what they call it.
solar remediation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer this message here.
Yeah, solar remediation. It seems like
so scary.
like we have like 2 or 3 days of cloudy skies, and then one day where you can see the blue, and then by the end of the afternoon, it's by the time the sun gets at the other end of the sky, it's all cloudy again.
Yep.
A big dark black canopy. It's pretty disturbing.
Yeah, because there's nobody knows what of how that affects humans. Like I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
it's
heavy
just
metals
ridiculous. Yeah,
Alzheimer's,
so
you know?
bad. Yep.
Some people think that there are like nanoparticles, like little nanobots that they drop out of the planes, and
Okay.
then they
Oh,
get,
dude, I saw some crazy stuff. There's hold on. I'll jump back in on that. Nanoparticles. Look up plaintruth.info on YouTube, man.
Morgellons disease.
Yeah, Morgellons disease and all this weird stuff.
Yeah.
It's really crazy with how long those have been around that they haven't been able to really. I guess they're kind of starting to use those like medically. It seems like the possibilities are like freaking endless with those, and it's like why isn't it rolling? You know.
Yeah.
But you start fixing a lot of diseases, and that's gonna take some money out of some drug companies' pockets.
Oh yeah.
People don't need medicine anymore, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
The money's in treatment, not cures.
Yep, exactly.
So we got 2 viewers.
It was probably us and the girl upstairs. I know my buddy was watching. Well, I don't know. Buja ID might still be in there. And my buddy was watching in Texas, but I think he went and grabbed food. So.
Oh yeah, back in 20 minutes.
Yeah, things like these always start out slow.
Yeah, it helped. We need to read the comments because not everybody has access to be able to read them.
Yeah.
Not on all devices.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's one thing I noticed last week when I was upstairs.
Go back and see if it pops up another one when I open it.
And I think that new camera is better than this one. We should probably switch cameras next time.
Oh, your new camera?
Yeah,
Oh, we can swap it and just see what happens.
it's 1080 or something.
Oh, 1080p. I wonder what happens if we just switch.
You could try it. You might have to go in and set it up so that it's not.
Might not.
Can you plug it straight into the computer without having to go through one of
Let's
those?
see. Is that the camera or the microphone?
That's camera.
That's camera.
That's the camera. All right, we're gonna perform surgery here.
Hold tight, you guys.
3,
Here, we can switch my camera on
2,
and video it
1.
if you want.
Ah!
Hello? Can you see me?
Oh yeah.
I think the other one kicked on.
Did the other one kick on?
Possibly.
Let's switch back.
Or maybe
What happened? Yeah.
We've got a feedback. Fine.
So now if I go over here and choose the camera again, it should
Can you do it while you're living?
be able to.
Did you lose that microphone?
No, the mic should be on.
Yep, it's still
Oh,
on.
okay. Oh, I don't have my headphones. Yeah, it works.
No, we don't want a screen share. Turn camera off. Okay, turn camera on.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, looks like it didn't work. We lost you, folks.
Oh no.
Well,
You just pop the other
the
one
truth
back.
is that was all a big lie, and now we're all naked.
Make it
You know,
hard.
we didn't want to be dressed the whole show. It gets warm down here.
I love that frog, man. If somebody wants to buy one of those frogs, you can send us a private message, and we'll Jim can make you one.
It's got 7 ounces of pure silver in the frog.
Yeah, 7 ounces of sterling silver in that little frog if you want one. Huh. Well, I guess my experiment failed.
We're gonna have to jump off and
I don't know.
jump back on.
The next one. The other one on it should.
Or is there like a lens cap on it?
That would be really funny.
Oh,
so you still have both
cameras
plugged in, right? No, you didn't.
No, I didn't plug it.
Yeah.
Oh. Plug it back in and see if.
Pop it back on.
You should at least, at minimum, get the other one back.
I wonder if we just continue the broadcast.
Test 1, 2, check. 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello.
What's in there? The control room.
Hey man, can we go to the control room, please? I told you not to do it, hoser. Yeah, I think your little Mac is getting mad at us, Jim. Ah, cameraman. Oh, there's more stuff over here. On here.
Maybe you can off on the camera.
We got 4 viewers.
Having some technical difficulties. We tried to get to a little too
We're ambitious.
ambitious. Oh, here, let's try settings. I'll bet you it's in here.
Yeah.
There it is.
Well, maybe let's plug the other one back in and see if it works.
Yeah.
Stay with us, folks. Well, so excited. It's like being here when our baby's born.
Oh,
You guys are witnessing the birth of RX Only Picture Show. The head's just crowning.
I'll just check camera 3.
Okay, is that us? Is that your new one?
I would assume.
Well, here, let's cancel that and back to settings again. Okay, bye. Logitech camera 3.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Go to save, maybe.
Oh, there it is. We're getting a picture.
Nice.
And upgrade.
works.
Total upgrade.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Good
that's way
idea,
better.
Jim.
That's way more clear.
Yeah. So
Just needs to be aimed in more
yeah,
on
so
the side.
we can move this all around here.
Yep.
Because I've got
The
the
back a little bit.
I brought my little homemade stand here.
Nice.
You know, tip it down.
You got to make sure you get Bowie.
Are you going to be on camera, Nathan?
That's perfect. Oh, sure. I don't mind. Just make sure the painting's on there. I can
Now,
move-
you
I
guys
can
might have
move
just
it.
heard this guy's name's Nathan, but if you see him in public, you need to address him formally as Dr. Doodoo.
That's good.
Yep. We won't get into how
Yeah,
that nickname was earned.
no. If you want to know why, then you need to go to sbalger@hotmail.com on PayPal and send us $1,000, and we will tell you at least 7 paragraphs on why for $1,000. And less than that, well, the story stays a secret.
Yep.
And that's the truth, because it's a big deal. I know it sounds like I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
If you really want to know why Nathan's nickname is Dr. Doodoo, please PayPal me $1,000 and we will give you the gist of it.
Yep.
Now, we'll have a special show just for you.
If HIPAA had America's Most Wanted,
Looks like I got kicked off the phone call.
Now, that's deep. What could that possibly mean, folks, if HIPAA had America's Most Wanted?
Hello?
I think it lost me too.
We got kicked off.
You got cooked off. Are we
Kicked
not on
off the
YouTube?
phone call.
Oh, you need an invite, or are we not live anymore?
It still says live, but I don't
I'm
know
still
how it
on
works.
it. Is this, do you want to reload this page? That page?
Let's see if we're still in here.
So yeah, we were prompted to look at those airplane fuel things because of that weird video that you showed me with the plane just standing
The hovering
still
plane.
in the air.
Have you seen that, Nathan?
No.
Maybe we should screen share.
Yeah, let's screen share and we'll bring it up here.
bring that up.
So, okay. So if you're just tuning in or you're here or you're watching this after the fact, we're talking about anomalies with the weight and size of airplanes in contrast to the amount of fuel they might need to fly. Jim did the math real quick, and it was 15 full-size semi-fuel tankers per wing of fuel.
In a 747.
In a 747. And so I'm going to screen share, and we're
That's
going
like
to...
202 tons of fuel.
That's how much a fully loaded 202 tons, huh?
Yeah, a little over 202 tons.
Okay, So
That's a 737.
747.
747.
Yeah. It's a computer.
okay, so now we're screen sharing. Now we should get some really interesting effects going here. Let's minimize the hangout.
Oh, here.
Let's go. Maybe we better just search right here. There we are. All right, so that's out, Nathan.
So the 747 can weigh 987,000 pounds at takeoff.
So
I
what's
don't
that?
even know how much that is.
Here, let me 900
987,000.
987.
87 three zeros.
We'll divide that by 2,000 pounds, which is a ton.
How many tons is that?
493.5 tons.
So half of the weight is just in fuel. That
Yeah.
it sounds like if it's full.
202 tons. So subtract 202 is 291.5 tons, I think, of that is plane.
That's crazy. Seems when you get people and luggage and everything.
Is that including people?
I'm not sure.
I think
Looking
so.
in.
Is it working?
Working, I think there's just no audio.
I gotta find. YouTube isn't working.
Video's playing. Oh, Toys R Us, I'm gonna miss you.
Here we go.
Three planes. Three planes standing still in midair.
No. We'll do that.
That's interesting. That seems awfully close.
Are we still on the air?
We should be.
I accidentally fucked with something.
Well, it's casting from your.
Yeah, it's still live according to my.
Yeah, so if you're here watching this with us, folks, what we started to do is looking up planes hovering in midair. This relates to the concept of the most in vogue conspiracy right now is that jet airplanes don't even really use fuel. Not saying that we're promoting or believing that, but that if you're into conspiracy stuff, that's like
I don't think we're screen sharing.
the most thing. No?
No.
Oh nope, it's just us.
Oh, lame. Well, interesting. So please be party to watching us watch TV. Hope you're enjoying us watching TV. We're new kids. So let me trying to get back to the hangout here. That's weird. FaceTime. Oh, you can FaceTime with your
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
mission control.
Do you need to go back to the hangout?
How do you do this? Yeah. There's a where do things go on a Mac when you minimize
Go
them?
into the corner.
Bottom right corner?
Yeah, just click in the Put it. Yeah, it should pop. Now back in the corner again.
There you go.
Now try the other corner on the other side.
Bottom left.
There you go.
There it is.
Oh, thank you. That's what I'm saying. I wonder why it didn't. Okay, should we try again? Screen share?
Yeah.
All right, screen share.
So,
And we want to screen share this.
And then start.
Okay.
should be working here in a second. You should really find that one video that we watched the other day.
There you go. It's working.
Present to everyone. Do I need to click that?
It's working.
Okay.
Can you hear it?
Yep. Oh, I can't hear the video though.
Oh yeah, well that's probably okay.
Yeah.
I know we don't have the. Usually when you see people screen sharing and all that stuff.
You want to make it big?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. But do you want to? Should I choose a different video, Jim? Which one? The one.
This is the one. Yeah.
Well, it has a name.
Oh, this is yeah, because I grabbed one that had like a bunch of them. So now is that still working? Because last time I went full screen. Is it still?
Yep.
Cool. All right. U.S. Airways would not comment on the incident, which has remained unexplained. What follows is the only video. Okay, so this is what you're looking at is people inside of an airplane that appears to be hovering in place.
We lost it.
Screen share went away again?
Yeah.
Wonder why it does that. Let's pause this.
What is going on?
They don't want us showing you guys this stuff. You'd be amazed how many people think that, right? If you watch conspiracy videos,
Yeah.
like bad interference in an interview between two guys talking about
They're shutting
politics.
us down.
So it's because it's the
They're shutting
NSA.
us down.
The NSA and the FBI are totally worried about us talking
Too
about
close to the truth.
Lord Rothschild from 1890. Probably not, guys.
It's hilarious.
They're probably really not too worried about that. You got to remember, folks, it's got to be a really small handful of people that are sinister. No matter whether they're in government or otherwise, it's a small amount of people that are sinister. You got to think of most people as being just like the guys at the DMV, like just kind of dumb and ineffective. Did it work? Hold on, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this present to everyone. Okay, now
All right, is this it?
now I'm paused, so I'm trying. Oh wait, no, I'm on the wrong screen. Oh my gosh, we need Jakob.
Yeah, it's got the screen share on.
Okay, so if I make this big and then push play, this should. All right. So this is an airplane allegedly hovering in one place for like 13 minutes. I'm pretty sure the footage is like from 2009 or something like that. It's pretty old footage.
Every time you go big, it looks like it's kicking it off.
Yeah.
Is that what happens?
Yeah.
RX Only Picture Show. This week it's RX Only Shit Show.
Technical difficulty show.
I was thinking we should get a Johnny Carson desk.
That'd be good.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
And then Nate could sit there and go, ah!
I was born.
You are correct, sir.
I guess we can't make it big.
And then Jim could be the monkey and climb on my head and slap me and shit on me and pull my hair.
I want to be the monkey.
I knew as soon as I came out of my mouth that Jim was going to be mildly offended. As soon as I said Jim could be the monkey, my brain went, don't ever say that. Don't ever say Jim could be the monkey. Jim's not a monkey. Is this still screen shared or not, you guys?
It hasn't yet.
No.
You're still making monkey jokes.
Hey, now we sound like a morning show. Laughing at our own jokes.
And then I said, "Your mom's fat." Hey, why has it got a Mickey Mouse hand? Connected. Thanks. That was weird.
What's going on?
I don't know.
You're not screen sharing. Go back to click the screen share button.
Oh yeah.
Tell me what to do, you fucking monkey.
Over there.
Yep. Screen share on your left.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boom.
There you go.
We want this, right?
Or
Yep.
do you want the desktop?
Let's try desktop.
Maybe
You could try it.
Connection
desktop
lost.
just has
That's just
everything.
for the mouse though, so you should be okay.
Oh, your mouth.
If you do the desktop, then you can go full screen, I think.
Okay,
There
start
you go.
screen
That's a good
share.
idea.
Yeah, that's
Yep, that might work. All right, maybe that's what's wrong. Because when I go full screen, then it kicks YouTube for some reason. Okay, is that working?
I don't have it yet.
We got a delay. About
Oh, that's
30
right. I'm gonna
seconds.
bounce it back here.
Okay, I think it's working. And
All right,
it's working.
It's working.
and
Yes.
cue it up. So once again, folks, if you are still with us this far, what we're looking at is a plane that's allegedly hovering in place. This is
It's hard to tell until they look down. Once they look down with the camera, you can see.
nothing's moving. Yeah, I did the same thing when I very first watched this. I'm like, oh yeah, right. They're just going slow. But the longer you stare at it, the more you can see. Like Jim said, especially when the camera's pointing down, you notice. We've all been on airplanes. Most of us, you would notice.
Move that mouse up a little bit so it disappears that bar. There it is.
Not moving.
So strange.
Like, what's going on? Okay, so the common theory is that all this time they've actually had like more advanced technology than they're letting on. They're bilking us all on the money for fuel, and these planes actually are capable of much more.
Unless this was filmed inside of a studio with a projected screen outside the window
Yeah,
of like a real mocked up.
if that's a projection. I'm not allowed to say projection
It
anymore.
could be a projection.
Although I mean they could have done
Flat.
this somehow.
See that stuff isn't moving. I mean,
Yeah, no, it's
when
still
you can see
there.
the
That-
frame of the window, you should see some relative motion between those two things: the frame of the window and those mountain peaks. Especially when he goes, or whoever is right there.
Yeah,
See?
yeah. No, I mean he's actually showing us more land by getting closer over the edge, and nothing's moving. So
Yeah.
that's really
There's
weird.
got to be a projection screen that's curved that goes all the way around the bottom of that plane for that to work. See, there's other people noticing it on the plane. It's like it's full of people.
The guy in front of him is asleep. Yeah, the other guy's standing up looking. This guy in front of him is asleep.
All those people, yeah, they got their windows shut. That's pretty strange.
This next clip shows the plane stopped in midair and then goes backwards. Really? I've never seen this one. I mean, to me, the poor quality of these footage kind of give it more credibility. Okay, so there the plane's moving.
Yep. Definitely going forward.
Stops. And retreats and down.
Are they rewinding that? Did it go to the same path as it did?
And he's still moving.
Oh, whoa.
That is weird.
That is weird. You know, there are times when the plane is moving in one direction and the wind is going against the airplane the same speed that the plane is moving.
Yeah, which creates a real hover effect.
Then you would be, but you're still moving like, let's say your wind is blowing at 100 knots south and you're going 101 knots north.
Yeah.
You would be going like 1 nautical mile an hour.
Unless it's just like some crazy strong gust, which I don't think is possible.
Yeah, I mean, I've never noticed them more than that.
Well, you'd think
Like
if it
90.
was that, then the plane would act really sporadic and not just kind of like appear to mildly
It'd be like
adjust.
the most crazy turbulence ever.
Lone's End Warrior's back.
Oh, cool. What's up, Sam? We're throwing up these. I don't know if you've noticed these weird jet fuel anomalies and stuff, and planes hovering in the sky. We were just talking about like the most up-to-date weirdo conspiracy that you find on YouTube right now is this like the amounts of fuel don't seem to match up.
Lone Zen says he's seen these, and most are explainable by wind speeds and the movement of the viewer. And then he said, exactly. There are videos of pilots showing 0 miles per hour for ground speed due to headwinds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what you're
Literally
talking
hovering.
about.
That makes sense.
The fuel thing is weird, though.
Yeah.
You got anything else to put on?
I'm sure we could. Let's see.
Lone Zen Warrior says they do use fuel, but not as much as they claim.
Right. That's exactly what we were just talking about. So let's just pause this and talk for a second here about that. So
You want to go back to the cameras?
yeah, let's stop screen sharing and get us back on screen here.
Just click that screen share. There you go.
All right, what's up? And we're back.
But yeah, so I would say all this ties in to the idea that they just keep putting stuff out here to make us question what's up in general and make people disagree. Like so, I need my drink. I can't talk about conspiracies without an energy drink. That's So it seems to me like they just keep bringing out more and more stuff, especially in the last 10 years, to discourage people from agreeing about anything as far as any controversial subject. Whoa. It didn't used to be this crazy. That's why I always talk about communitarianism, because when Nikki Rapana first brought it out, it was always about the divide and conquer technique of polarizing everybody into groups and getting them to disagree until they reached a conclusion and then starting that process over. But back then, 10 years ago, we never would have imagined that it would have been like, the fucking earth is flat is a way to polarize people. You know, like we never, like we were talking about politics or abortion or, you know, vaccine issues or war or, you know, to be a patriot or not a patriot, communism versus capitalism, black versus white, racism, male versus female, sexism. You know, these were all the common lines that people were, you know, a lot of people would say that you're organically divided along. I don't know if it's organic or not, you know.
Here. There's some comments in there.
Sure.
What's your view?
I'm going to read some of these here. So Mujahideen says a C5 Galaxy seemed to just hover, and they're ginormous. I live next to an air base, by the way. Zen Warrior says, look up the SR-71 Blackbird and how it leaks fuel on the ground. Dad was an Army pilot, and I lived around air bases for most of my life, even after my dad retired. Yeah, Zen and I actually lived on the same air post, strangely enough. We're Army post, different times. Dad was an instrument instructor for Hueys and Cobras, helicopters. Yeah. So yeah, it seems to me like they just keep wanting to toss stuff out here, just to make it so everyone's at odds. Even on the like, it seems really trivial to be at odds about whether or not airplanes use fuel.
Yeah.
It certainly isn't something that, like any one of us could have at any point in time in the past been looking at the guys filling up the plane and been like, that doesn't seem like it took long enough.
Well, there would be fuel trucks at the airport filling up the tanks under the airport all the time. It seems like busy airports.
Yeah.
And I just don't see it. I mean,
Yeah.
when I used to live next to the Portland airport, I didn't really know it. I didn't think about it. But
Yeah, and one of the videos I saw, it said that the fuel tanks at the airports are all underground, And so to me, that seems really weird that they would like show up with trucks and fill up all the underground tanks and then use the underground tanks to fill up the airplanes when they could just fill the damn things up with trucks.
Yeah.
Sure, there's a possibility that there's logic there that we wouldn't understand. Okay, we need all those tanks underground for a blank reason, but it seems very strange. I don't know.
Yeah, and they don't fill them up full every time. I'm sure they calculate how far they're going, and so a lot of times they probably don't need a lot of fuel, but they would need some sort of fuel like before every flight. So
right, and they definitely always put more fuel than they need
exactly
by a certain amount just in case of anything, right?
Yeah,
I think you have to by law. I mean, have extra fuel for where you're going to go.
I mean,
just because you can't pull over off the side of the road when you're up there.
To me, this whole subject kind of leans into like a strange phenomena I've noticed as being someone who's like I've been studying conspiracy crap for forever. Like, I wrote a paper in college. I remember I took a class teaching you how to use the internet and how to do research, and it was when the internet was pretty new still, probably like 1996. And so the class was like a new class to be like, all right, we're going to teach you how to research in the library, but we're also going to add all this new digital media, right? And the subject I chose was the relationship between the poorest countries in the world and international banks. So, I mean, if in 1996 that was what I was choosing, that's probably as far back as I could trace it. Or even to that book, Nathan might remember that book. It was at our lost homeboy's house. His ex-wife's dad. It was Pawns in the Game.
Oh, yeah.
By William Guy Carr. Right? So that's back about the same time, somewhere around 97, 98. Okay. So now it seems like the conspiracies are just getting crazier and crazier. Like I was showing my boy the other day the conspiracy that maybe George W. Bush is actually Charlie Manson.
Oh man,
I mean,
crazy.
it sounds so stupid, right? It sounds like the
crazy
stupidest thing ever until you look up the video and it's like, holy crap, they look just like each other.
Maybe you should play that one.
Maybe we should throw it on there.
Yeah, we should throw
But
that
we can't hear it.
Well,
we can still see it though.
Yeah.
But okay, so before I throw it on, I'll throw that one on because it's really crazy. Or at least do the image search. I'll throw that video on. So that's a theory. Okay, so everybody knows that JFK is like a popular conspiracy theory that they assassinated him and it wasn't a lone gunman. But have you heard the idea that they just faked it and that JFK didn't even die and that he's actually Jimmy Carter? Like this is out there too. There's lots of these theories are out there. Okay, that Bill Hicks, the comedian, didn't actually die. He's actually Alex Jones, right? Like what the hell? That Abraham Lincoln wasn't assassinated. They faked it. It was pretend. And so now airplanes don't even use fuel. The earth is flat. Like, what the hell is going on in the world? But it seems like they're taking things and making and don't forget about the Mandela effect. That, Berenstain, scenes from movies are completely gone. We've completely jumped timelines. And if you follow that rabbit hole, like you end up with new creatures on Earth that never used to be here, like strange plant creatures and like
geographic oddities, like continents being different.
Yeah, the physiology of the body has changed, like the skull and where your kidneys are inside your body are different. Anyways,
Lones and Warrior says Bill Hicks is capital, not Alex Jones.
I know. Well, Zen would know because he's from Texas. He's been listening to Alex Jones since before when we were all just little squirts. And obviously my point is not to promote any of these theories. My point is, what the hell are they doing in the media? So you've got the complete normies that think like most of the world is just a coincidence. Like everything's just a coincidence. And then so the far extreme used to be what? No planes in 9/11? Like that was like the craziest conspiracy you could come up with. Now what? Now Alex Jones is Bill Hicks. Now Lincoln never got assassinated. He faked it.
Yeah. That one.
What the hell?
That one video was pretty cool with the Charlie Manson.
Yeah, I'll throw
They
the.
do like a
Let's
like
throw
a
that.
facial recognition software comparison. And
Yeah, I'll throw it on there. Okay, so what we're gonna look at, since we don't have any audio, this guy he dumps a picture of George W. Bush into a piece of software that compares features of two individuals and scans them and compares them for similarities. And he alleges in the video that the guy who sent him the software could never get a higher hit than about 85% or something. And so I'll find it and throw it up here. Well, let's see. Let's go back over here to. Oh, that's hey. I'm getting better at this.
I'll delete it. Sorry. Read the beginning. There you go.
Isn't there a way to highlight that? How do you control A like to highlight all? That's what I was trying to do.
Open Apple.
Well, this I don't know where the open apple is. Okay, so
Charlie Manson, George Bush.
thank you.
There, it showed up.
Oh, Charles. I
Yeah,
think it was the
Charles.
first
There it
one.
is. Now, put your screen share.
Okay, well, let's just go ahead and play it.
Start it here, yeah.
All right,
Do the desktop.
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go back. Whoa.
There it goes. The infinity of screen sharing.
Ah.
There it is. Yeah, click it. Oh, you gotta rewind that video. It looks like.
Oh, it looks like it started a ways in. All right, so we're gonna jump back here. Okay, so there's 93% on the meter, and even in those photographs, I mean, they look similar. Like that's weird.
The only thing is the nose.
Yeah, the
for
nose.
me.
Yeah, well, the
One
nose on
point,
W
yeah.
is definitely narrower, right?
Everything else is pretty similar.
Like maybe they had
And
like
keep reading
a similar father.
no, that's
the same dad, you know.
Oh, that's another one. If you guys have never heard if you've never looked at comparative photography of Barbara Bush and Aleister Crowley, by all means,
Oh yeah.
Google it up, because the allegation is that Crowley is actually Barbara Bush's father.
Wow.
So maybe these are just two of his grandkids right here. Seems to start to make sense if you think of it that way.
Yeah, and that's pretty close. Ears a little bit different too.
Yeah, and then in the video, Nate, that's what
Mouth is pretty much spot on.
You can tape back
Eyes.
in the video, if you go watch this video with the audio,
Mouth is-
the guy says that they're pinning his ears back.
Yeah.
You know.
Looks like blue eyes and brown eyes,
Yeah, it does look like W's got lighter colored eyes.
but you could put contacts in.
But in the Manson's right eye is a lot rougher and more defined. If you
You
look
even
at
have
the
those same crow's feet
Yeah.
wrinkles in those bags.
Yeah. Bush has definitely got rocking the makeup for sure.
that's true. I didn't think of that.
So
That-
that's gonna
They're not going to throw makeup on Manson
Yeah.
in prison,
that's like the
except for that
There
swastika.
we go. See.
Wow.
There's what it look like with makeup.
Yeah, there's the fade.
Is that's an overlay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, they're real similar. They should have used this a picture where their heads were the same size.
Well, yeah, you think that the guy that was doing this would size it up pretty close. It's not that hard to lay that.
See, I think he lined the eyes up, and then the rest of the head
Yeah.
doesn't quite line up.
So if you could hear this, you'd be astounded how much Charlie Manson sounds like George W. Bush. I mean,
Well, you can turn off that.
well, oh yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we can hear it.
I'll see if it's coming through it.
See if it's working.
Oh no, it's not going to, because it's not.
The speakers aren't plugged into the computer; they're plugged into the Xbox.
Oh, okay. So you probably got to change the audio source.
Well, I didn't think about that. We can have a Nate kills everybody.
It's working, kind of.
Night.
It's too hard to hear it.
Yeah.
I guess could do this.
This is Chucky. There's Chuck first. Click on his face to choose that guy.
I can hear it.
Then you upload another image, and this one will do one W. Good old George W. And look at that, 93%, very high, right? I don't know if you guys have ever used this website software.
93, yeah.
93 is also the number of the limit. That's another
Charles
Oscar
Manson,
Crowley number.
George W.
That's-
Bush,
It's our hello and
president
goodbye,
of the
sort of a
United
low
States,
Yeah, that's
member of
the
the Bush crime family,
sacred number.
That's what I
responsible
heard.
for 9/11, all kinds of devious deceptions with this family, as we all know. And it wouldn't surprise me if
Yeah,
he's
so
playing
let's
the
jump ahead
character
here.
of Charles
to
Manson,
there's photography here.
outlaw, right?
You continues to
Basically one of
compare
the
pictures
most
and you get the pretty
hated
high
and
numbers.
feared
The
characters
whole
of the
time.
last
Okay, so we
50
can get along
years.
here. Okay, so look at these are supposed to all be different pictures of Charlie
If you look
Manson.
closely at that
And
first
he superimposes
1968
a
photo. No, it does
picture of
kind of
W
look
in
like
there.
a young George W. Bush. I just threw his
But-
photo in there.
Look at those
He
noses.
kind of
They
looks
look
just
real
like him,
similar.
in fact, doesn't
They
it?
do.
In disguise, longer hair, of course. So either, it's possible George W. Bush is like the master of disguise over the years and has been playing this role for the last 50 years, or just at certain times. I don't know. This is
I
something
can see
we'll have to
similarity. I
think
think
about.
that
But
Alex
either way,
Jones and
at certain times,
Bill
it
Hicks
seems
is
to be
much more.
very high possibility that
likely.
George W. Bush has played the role of Charles Manson. And of course, this whole helter-skelter murder was a complete hoax.
Comments.
Never happened.
We took
This
comments
guy
here
was
while
basically a
watching these,
musician. He hung out with the Beach Boys, Laurel Canyon, where they had that film studio, Lookout Mountain. That's where they filmed all the fake nude videos. So all those musicians popped up out of nowhere. Their
Zen-
parents were all
Zen says-
CIA agents. It's
So let's
crazy,
mute
man.
this again here.
This is just a
Let's keep
psyop.
this running
There is
and I'll
no
talk
Charles
over it for a
Manson.
second here. So in the comments we have a friend who went to high school with Alex Jones, and I don't doubt that. I know Zen's in Texas. Manson was an actor, this is a common theory.
That's true.
A guard claimed that. Well, I mean, that's true that he was probably acting this whole role, but he was also a famous musician and actor before all this stuff happened. Like I'm listening to the. There's a book called Strange Things from the Canyon by Dave McGowan, and it's all about how they made the '60s counterculture into what it was. And Charlie Manson is a huge part of the book because of the murders he was involved with. But in the book, they're claiming the murders are real. Once again, same thing we've been talking about. If you go look online, the next step is that the whole thing was a hoax. There were no Tate Manson murders. It was just a hoax. Completely. And that's what Zen's saying in the comments here. Guard claimed they brought him in the back door uncuffed for interviews. Manson was at Laurel Canyon with Crosby, Morrison, etc. Disinfo, in my opinion, that's bullshit. Yeah. So I'm not sure which part you're calling bullshit on there, Zen, but it doesn't matter because I don't believe any of it or not believe any of it. I don't know what to think anymore. That's kind of the point to me right now of this section of what we're doing. Is like what they've got us all so damn turned around that like what are you supposed to believe anymore? And so then if you get to the point where you at least disagree about something, now if their goal was to make us disagree, then they've accomplished their goal.
Zen says the facial thing, like Hicks and Jones, are the disinfo. Like the BS that you were talking about.
Okay. And I think another big part of it for me is most people don't acknowledge that this is just a form of entertainment. It took me a while to come to grips with the idea that I wasn't accomplishing anything by researching secret societies, conspiracies, Satanists, Jews, high government officials, back in the day, aliens, secret technologies.
just like another. It's just kind of like an edgy form of entertainment.
Here. Comments. Zen.
Oh yeah, yeah. Zen says he's had a lot of time to dig into this because he's got a lot of downtime, a lot of time to have to be kind of stuck. You know, he's got some severe impairment now and then in pain, and so he's got plenty of time to ruminate on it. And I'm kind of in that same category because for years I took care of a severely disabled man. And a lot of the time when he was down, that's what I would do. I would throw on old Bill Cooper broadcasts. You know, I used to really love Bill Cooper, but then, you know, people will make the same allegation about any person that you can find. That like the allegation of someone being a shill or an agent. Like there are people come watch this video and they'll say, "Well, those guys are shills. Look, they got David Bowie on the wall."
Lego.
Right, but I mean, really, that's the kind of stuff you see constantly if you watch.
Or he was doing this.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know, Sean touched his left eye, so that was a symbol. He was signaling Jim.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess we better keep working. Box.
Here we go. Oh, we're still on the we're not screen sharing. Or we're screen sharing. We're not
Oh, sorry guys.
thing.
Oh, it might just be that it's
We're
delayed.
still on desktop. Oh, this one might be today.
Yeah, I think the YouTube's probably just delayed. Screen share for Hangouts.
Way behind. Here. So Zen has degenerative disc disease.
Yeah, he's got
2 spine surgeries.
Oh, he's
06.
Ouch. He's flashed up a couple times the X-ray of the work they did inside of his back, and his neck is full of screws and plates. Man, he's cobbled up. He told me the other day that it hurts to pick up a kitten. So that's pretty cobbled up. I told him about it one time, but I don't think he's interested.
He's probably got better.
Yeah, I think he's just done. He doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I'll keep drawing for a minute. If anybody's got another question or something, you can ask us. Can't be late. Oh. I'm really gaining appreciation for these guys that do this all the time. Their ability to be in production live.
Oh yeah.
Because there's so much backside here to do. And for people that are just enjoying the content and have never done anything like a stage production, probably don't realize how hard a lot of these people are working to put on a good show for you. Because we're just figuring this out. We just decided to just kind of throw it up here, just do it. You know, like like kind of show our warts or our flaws and like, okay, screw it, we're not very good at this yet, but let's be live and do it. So the guys that are putting on a good show for you. Yeah, you can jump in here if you want, Zan. I'd have to throw those headphones on, but if you want to jump in here, you can. I forgot I moved this mic way over here. Oh yeah, that's great. Let's bash the mic a little bit. Yeah, that's weird, the delay.
It seems to have gotten better than when I first got here, though.
Well, I know that there's a. Here, let's jump in here with us.
I've got to go take somebody some kratom. They want to buy some.
You send Will Zen a link?
I'm trying right now.
I'm gonna sit over here.
Dude, that was freaking delicious. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get more of these. Strawberry.
Here, Tom.
That's not right. All right. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Oh, I'm gonna have to take the mouse from here.
You need the mic or the.
Well, yeah, I guess I could do it that way.
Okay, Jim, yours is here. I'm gonna leave my amp. I gotta go take somebody some kratom. So
Okay.
I'll text you guys later on tonight.
All right. Are you coming back or?
I don't know what time is it.
Probably 8 o'clock.
Probably not. Most likely. I'm not gonna say I am, but
8:15.
okay.
All right.
talk to
Thank you.
later. Yeah.
I'll get you back.
Yep. No worries.
Thank you.
How do you do this? Sorry, man. I'm slow.
Get you.
It's loading slow. Come on now. Oh, there it is. It's going slow, man. There it is. So let's see. This should work now. All right.
Is it working?
Should let's. Now I gotta get back over here.
Uh-oh. Mujahideen lost the stream for a couple minutes.
Yeah, we gotta see. Did it? It's just me in here. 6 viewers.
All right. 5 viewers now.
Hi, folks. Trying to jump our friend Zen in here. I just sent him the link. Oh, looks like there he is. All right, I'm gonna have to throw these headphones on.
Hey guys,
So I can hear you.
Yeah.
can you guys hear me?
Stand
You wanna
up.
Trade me seats.
Yeah. Whoa. Hey, that would have been good.
Yeah.
Let's drop. Hey, Zen's here. Let's drop this iPhone. See if I
Get my
can,
headphones
see if
on.
I can hear you. All right. Can you hear me, brother?
Stay there, Tom.
I can hear you in the hangout. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Cool. Hey, thanks for
Sweet.
jumping in, bro. Appreciate it.
Love it, man. I like what you're doing, man. Don't worry
Oh,
about
yeah.
the quality. It'll come with time.
Oh yeah, so I figure it's better to just bootstrap it and be lean and jump in here and not like you can't sit around waiting until it's perfect and then try and do it. You know, just
Yeah, you guys are doing great, man. I love it. It's like I said, what you guys were talking about before. You and I have talked before, Sean. You know me, man. I got a ton of information on all that stuff.
oh yeah, I know, and I like you said. I mean, I'm not trying to say too much about where you're at in life or what's up, but you do have hours and hours of time to study and ruminate on things. And you know, if people didn't notice, your name's Lone Zen Warrior. You know, to literally meditate on things and allow. I know you and I both agree that allowing things to come to you and not trying to force things is the way of the world, man. You let things come to you, and when you do it that way, you get a different result.
Yeah, I don't. You know me, man. I take both sides of every story, and I look at everything as best I can. You know, of course, cognitive dissonance kept me off of flat Earth for about a year till I finally saw it, and that's really taught me a greater lesson.
Jumping in.
Yeah,
Hey, Jim, how you doing, brother? Good to meet you.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I wish I could be there with you guys, man. I'd love to come hang with you guys, jam with some music.
Well, when the time comes, man.
I'm getting my truck in the shop here in the next couple of days, and then I'll have it back up and running, and I plan on heading up that way.
You know, we just got ourselves a little camper too.
Oh, did you? Sweet.
Yeah. Well, my girl did. I say us. Well, I mean, she wants something and decides she's going to get it. If she's got the money, she'll go get it.
Yeah, I'm planning on going up to Oregon where the Arctic foxes are built, because that's one of the ones I'm looking at. That's the one I've decided on, and then you guys are just north of there, so it ain't too much of a stretch to go that much further, definitely. But
so Arctic boxes is the camper style you're talking about, put on the back of a pickup?
Yeah, truck campers, Arctic fox. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, back to what you guys were saying about the planes. You know, when you do the math, you know, they claim that they put so many thousands of gallons in the wings of those planes. Well, when you look at them, that just don't add up. And if they try to say that they're just running on straight air, you know, I don't really see that, because I've seen too many jets, kick on those afterburners. And that's definitely a real deal, because I saw that SR-71 land at Castle Air Force Base in California when they retired it to the Air Museum there.
Yeah.
And I mean, that thing, I've seen F-16s, F-4s, A-10s. You know, I lived near air bases my whole life, as I said in the chat. And when I saw that SR-71 do what it did, I mean, it was that thing was just amazing. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would have sworn it was fake as fast as that thing took off.
Yeah, I'll bet.
But they tell you about that SR-71, when it's sitting on the ground, it leaks fuel because they can't seal the body panels up because of the heat that it generates when it's flying at speed. So they designed it with titanium panels so that when it gets up to speed and it's creating all the heat, the panels actually squeeze together due to the heat. And that's what seals the plane up and keeps the fuel from leaking out of it as it's flying. But when it's sitting on the ground, it's a major fire hazard. They have to get the pilots inside of it, get them locked in, and then they fill it with fuel. And as soon as it's full, they get that son of a bitch off the ground as quick as they can.
Wow.
Because otherwise, it's a huge fire hazard. But even then, when I looked at it later after they had it on display, you know, I mean, it didn't look near as big as I thought it was going to be. The cockpit looked like it was majorly small. I mean, guy my size, 6 foot plus, there's no way I'd fit in it. I don't think, at least comfortably. And you know, I don't know where they would keep the fuel at. There's not enough room in the wings or even in the body of that aircraft to carry the amount of fuel that it would have to burn, according to what they tell you it burns per hour, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's flight time.
I've seen the same thing. I've seen the same thing alleged about bombers too. That they say they're carrying all this huge payload of bombs when some people think it's way less. That they're not carrying so much munitions in those things. You know.
Yeah. I take it as half truths. They're lying about a lot of it, but these people that are putting the videos up that they're doing, they're taking it to the extreme. You know, everything's a conspiracy, so therefore it's all a lie. Well, that's not entirely true. There's always a little bit of truth in there.
No, and that's why I pointed out, you know, I don't know how many people are actually going to eventually see this, but it doesn't matter. At least we're putting it out there that it's never that simple that you can't choose one side or the other, flip a coin. Nothing works that way. Everything has complexity, and it has emergent complexity the farther you get into it. And I'm not talking about conspiracies. I'm talking about anything, you know. If the three of us decide we're going to start making rope, the idea is pretty easy. And you look at the concept on paper, and it's pretty easy. Well, you start twisting all the fucking strings together, and all of a sudden making rope becomes a real pain in the ass.
It does, definitely. Yeah. And same thing with that facial recognition. You know, I've had people have gotten really upset with me when I have, you know, absolutely debunked that whole idea that Bill Hicks is Alex Jones. You know, I have a friend who lives in Dallas, still lives in Dallas. He spent the night at Alex Jones's house. He was friends with Alex Jones in high school. They used to smoke dope together.
Right.
You know, and I was a big fan of Bill Hicks even back in the day. So the idea that they are the same person is absolutely ludicrous, but people want to buy into it because they've seen so many lies. But that's one of the things that Flat Earth did teach me was, yeah, you do have to be absolutely objective about it and think about everything like you're a child. You don't know nothing. Don't assume you know anything when you're looking into this stuff. Because if you do, then that cognitive dissonance will kick you in the butt, you know.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. I dropped two in real life friends off of my Facebook because they keep tagging me and being rude about flat Earth stuff.
Yeah, I heard you. Yeah, same here.
It's like, you know, and you know, if I see them in person, maybe we'll have a conversation. Everything will be okay. But I'm not trying to be bothered by people who they're essentially offended that they heard something that they don't like, and now they have to attack the messenger.
Yeah,
you know,
it's that cognitive dissonance. It turns them into our enemy.
And that's the thing that bothers me about that is that's what I try and come out and tell people. It's like, yeah, I do think the Earth is flat, but I think that they're bringing it out as a means to divide people. And I don't think that it's like we need to go shake everybody by their fucking shirt sleeves and collars and wake them up, wake up, sheeple. You know, I don't believe that either. I don't believe that at all. People are going to believe and see and do whatever they want to do. And it's true that the shape of the Earth has very little on the ground regular effect on people's lives, you know? Like, I mean, if I have to preach to somebody about something they should do, like, well, you know, get some peace of mind and some rest and a reasonable diet and some exercise, you know, not too exciting, you know, not much of a conspiracy that you should get 8 or 10 hours of sleep, turn off your phone, you know, eat a lot of fruit. This isn't real exciting, you know, but.
Well, you know my history. You know, I used to be involved with the militia movement here in Texas, and I was pretty high up. I knew lots of guys all over the country. You know, I'm definitely on the watch list and the red list for the government. And that was one of the things that I learned in that was no matter how much you try to, even if you give people hard facts that they can go look for themselves, if their mind is set in a certain way, you're not going to change their mind. So the whole idea of trying to wake everybody up it's a pipe dream. Give it up. It ain't happening. You're not going to change people's minds like that.
Yeah.
They're not going to listen.
No. And when people talk like that, I tell them, man, what if you're asleep? Do you want me to wake you up? Unless the house is on fire, if you're physically asleep, nobody wants to be woke up.
No.
You know? So you have to think of everyone, and no one's fully awake either. We can't sit around and figure it all out, and now we're enlightened. If I figure it out all the way, I guess I can just dematerialize and leave this plane and then come back, huh? You know, then I've got it figured out. When I can pull an Enoch and just vanish and then re-arrive, I guess I'm pretty enlightened. But other than that, obviously, there's plenty I don't know.
The only way we're going to wake people up is if we get them to adapt that philosophy that I think you and I both have, which is we don't know anything other than we don't know.
Yeah.
And once you start to look at this stuff from that point of view, that you don't know anything, and just take it as you see it and then apply it to common sense and reason, then it makes a whole lot more sense. And then you can start. And as I've said before many times, once you learn to see the lies, the truth becomes self-evident.
It does, and it's usually pretty simple.
It is. It's always simple. It's always the simple. It's Occam's razor. Occam's razor applies with just about everything. It's always the most simplest explanation and answer you can find. Like that Sherlock Holmes quote, when you've removed everything, when you've removed all other possibilities and every other factor, whatever you're left with is the truth. It can't be anything but the truth. But too many people have this truth in their minds that's been programmed and indoctrinated into them. And it is like the Night of the Living Dead, you know, or the,
it is. That's what I mean.
Our body snatchers, where, like with Flat Earth, when we found this out. When I was in the militia talking about politics, and people were so hell bent on, you know, Obama's the second coming of the Antichrist.
Of course, yeah.
And I was trying to tell them about how bad the Bush family was and everything, and they give you that stare and they point their finger at you like, Flat Earth was the first time I'd ever had death threats. You know, I talked about all kinds of controversial stuff in politics and things before, in political activism and in the militia movement. And, you know, I got a lot of hatred. I got a lot of, nasty comments, but I never got death threats until Flat Earth. Then when I started posting videos about Flat Earth, then all of a sudden I had 2 death threats. It was like, whoa, hold on. And when it elicited that kind of reaction, I knew it had to be true. It's got to be real.
That's, like the other dude that I booted off my Facebook page recently, I don't know him in person. We're both musicians in this area, and we never met in person, but he wouldn't stop. Same thing. I mean, he's kind of a mousy dude, so he wasn't going to death threat me, but it was the same vibe. The same vibe of like just indignation and rage, and pointed at me. When I'm telling him, dude, I'm not telling you that I'm like the new master who figured out some secret that nobody knows. I've been looking at this for 3 years, and the whole world's blowing up with it.
Yeah.
So you might as well find out that you met somebody who has been studying it and believes it's true, So
take it from a trusted source instead of the internet. I mean, you got somebody and you can actually talk to in person. Wouldn't that be a better source than? And then whatever they tell you, then you can go look it up for yourself. But they don't even want to do that, and that's the sad part of it.
And that's the whole reason I finally came out, and I figured, screw it. These guys keep having it in their little chat box on that debate show I did, and I didn't try and debate that guy hardcore because I figured it's better to make a reasonable, genuine showing than it is to piss everybody off and look like you're stubborn, But I did it because it's time.
Yeah, you can't react to it. You just have to take it, be zen about it, be calm about it, let them get upset about it, and let their actions speak for themselves. And
I thought that debate I did, that it was really cool that those guys, they did that. They had a good time with it. Whereas some people, their knee-jerk reaction is so harsh.
I still haven't been able to listen to that interview.
Oh, it's not like it's great, man, because I don't try and attack it real hard, and I wanted to make a good showing as far as coming out and being a public figure to start, but I figure it's time to let people know 3 years later, it's time to let people know, we're looking into this, and it looks like we can't get away from it, boys and girls. Looks like it's not, they're not going to finally come out with a real picture and give us all the good news that we were misled. Instead, it looks like we're going to go on for the next 50 or 100 years or whatever it is, with people fighting tooth and nail at each other's necks, disagreeing about the shape of the earth on top of everything else we're already disagreeing about.
Yeah, well, that's where I've come to it with myself personally is we know it's flat. Water always finds level. It's that simple. If people can't see it, then you're not going to reach them. And it is a generational thing. They did release it on purpose. It is a psyop in that regard.
Yeah.
And you're not going to change the world in a day. It took them centuries to get it to where it is. You're not going to change it in a decade. You're not going to change it in a lifetime.
No, and I think that's the thing. What you just said. Okay, so they already, like the '60s generation, was really the first generation of kids thinking that they're more self-important than their parents. They turned the children away from the parents and made the children think that they were predominant over the wisdom of their elders. You know, that's what they did. You know,
they co-opted the children of the baby boomers,
right?
Or they co-opted the baby boomers in the '60s.
Right, exactly. And so
with
now
Laurel Canyon, Jim Morrison, all that stuff.
Yeah,
The women's lib, women's rights,
the feminism and all
movement. All of that was all social engineering, conditioning, indoctrination, however you want to put it.
Well, yeah, and that really pisses people off when you tell them that too. But it's true. You can go find that. I mean, Gloria Steinem's on video admitting that she couldn't fund her magazine and her feminism any other way. So when the CIA offered her money, that she thought that was a good deal.
Yep.
You know, it's not. Yeah. So it's you can't really. And the same thing with Timothy Leary. They're all sitting in a room there talking about it. You know, about
that's how confident that they are. That you can go up and actually see them in their own words admit what they've done in the past, that they have been co-opted. They did push an agenda for money, fame, and fortune.
Yeah.
But they know that everybody's so controlled by the indoctrination that they've implemented over how many generations now that it ain't going to matter. There isn't going to be enough people that will actually go see it and go, oh my God, they've been lying to us.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. They know that their control is that complete. So they can release flat earth and they know exactly what's going to happen because they've already figured out how we work. They know how the brain works. They know how we tick. They know how we think. I mean, when they do a psychological profile on you, which I've had quite a few done on me, it's amazing how accurate those things are. I mean, it's even, it's 10 times more accurate than astrology.
Yeah.
They already have it figured out. And that's the part that people don't understand when they're looking into a lot of this stuff is it is so nefarious and it is so large of a conspiracy that for 90% of the people out there, probably 95% of the people out there, it's so large that they can't even begin to try to wrap their heads around it.
Well,
it's beyond it's even beyond their basic comprehension. I mean, or their most complex comprehension.
Oh,
they'll never get it.
No, it's based on exactly what you said too. Is that if you're not high in openness, that's the other thing I've noticed is all the guys that all the guys that are really the most into conspiracies and far out stuff are always artists. And if you look in the flat Earth movement, especially, it's all artists that figured it out. That accept it. It's all people who work in perspective. They all are artists in one category or another. They're artists, they're musicians, they're people who are high in openness, that are willing to consider all things. And other people they just reject it. They don't want nothing to do with it. And I think my point was
that's why they're so adamant about co-opting artists and musicians.
Yeah. They can't have us out here allowing the world to become a peaceful, plentiful place with lots of food and beautiful women and men being in love and relaxing and not warring against each other. That'd suck, huh?
Sure. Anybody look at any of the major writers here? Just recently, I was reading some stuff on Ernest Hemingway and what all he did. And he formed the mindsets of how many generations with his books.
Yep.
But then when you look at his history and where he was, what he was doing and everything else, he was probably a sellout.
Oh yeah, he's a miserable son of a bitch.
And they said, hey, you just keep writing your books. We'll let you do whatever you want. You get to make lots of money and you'll be an icon long after you're gone. It is same with I've talked many times about how many musicians, artists that are out there, they openly admit, I sold my soul to the devil. Bob Dylan said he sold his soul to the devil.
Yep.
For fame and fortune. Well, the only way to get ahead in that industry is you got to sell out. If you don't, then they're going to do like they did with Hendrix, and we talked about this before, Stevie Ray Vaughan, guys like that. They couldn't buy them out, so they just tried to negate them, or they just killed them.
Yep.
Ray Wiley Price, guys like that. We talked about that the other day or last week.
Yeah, when we were on your channel, and if
yeah, there's so many people out that came out of Austin who, you know, they didn't want to write Nashville songs. They didn't want to do other people's work. They wanted to make their own. So they just stayed touring and they stayed playing the bars and the gigs, and they let their work speak for itself. And now they've got a huge following that most people don't know about. And it is us artists, because while I may have been a carpenter, I also did architectural drawing and mechanical drafting. I did art classes. I'm also an artist and a drawer, sketch artist and things like that. It is that side of our brain that allows us to see these things, because we can see beyond the two-dimensional. We see the three-dimensional. You know, I always just said this with people where they ask me, how can you do what you do? And I said, because I'm able to put a 3D image in my brain. I can imagine in 3 dimensions.
Yep.
I can see a blow up of something and take it apart in my head and put it back together before I even touch it. Whereas most people are incapable of doing that. And that's why artists are artists, because they see in 3 dimensions. Well, now with Flat Earth, now we have to start looking at the 4th dimension.
It's true.
And
that's where you end up trying to understand the whole thing. You start to think. That's what me and I don't know if you saw the thing with me interviewing my brother, and we ended up talking about that, you know. And,
yeah, I did. I saw part of it. I didn't catch all of it. I had to cut out, but I think probably when you guys go about halfway through it or so. But yeah, I was loving the conversation you guys were having about it.
Yeah, but and to close up my other point, man, I think the reason, okay, so they released this whole flat Earth thing. It's been out since, I mean, I know Matt Powerland, Matt Boylan, whatever he wants to call himself, and I don't hate that guy, but I don't really. He's the cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I think that maybe he's pretty honest actually, and they drove him nuts. But I know he came out like 2011 with it or whatever. But other than that, around 2015, they start bringing this out real heavy. And now, just in the last week or so, they published this survey of 8,000 people, where like 33% of the people 18 to 24 years old have their doubts. Okay, so I think we're seeing divide the youth against the aged 2.0, right? And,
yeah, absolutely.
Even more severe. So the 60s generation, like, let's break them away from the family values. Let's break them away from the extended family, and you know, get feminism and doing lots of mushrooms and drugs and smoking lots of weed and all this and partying. And then so the next generation, couple generations down the line, let's make them so they don't even agree on the shape of the fucking Earth, you know.
Yep.
And well, then who do we trust, you know?
I was born in '69, and I was one of the first my mother was a daughter of my mom was a baby boomer, and I was one of the first generations of latchkey kids. My mom was she bought into that 60s women's lib movement, where she had to have a career to feel successful and like she had a purpose in life.
Yep. And that's
being a mother and raising children is not the most glorious job in the world you could do. And then, and even now, I get into conversations with my own daughter, because they see all of this, you know, LGBT thing and the Black Lives Matter and all. And even though my daughter's open-minded and she, you know, she sees flat Earth, but she still questions it, as I taught her to. I don't, you know, she doesn't take what I say to be gospel or nothing.
right.
But even when her and her friends, or even some of my son's friends, are over here and they're talking about this stuff, and they'll make a comment that I know is coming from that propaganda that they're getting and that indoctrination they're getting in school. And then and they call it, I go into my rants, and you know how I can get, but I start schooling them on the fact that I'm not against anybody who wants to live that kind of a lifestyle, lesbian, gay specifically. I've always treated anyone as equal.
Yeah.
I've never, you know me, I'm not a bigot, racist, or anything, even though I may be from Texas and I'm a Southern boy, that I was raised opposite of that, that stereotype that they want to put on us. Same within the movies, they always portray racism down here in the South to be this vile thing where everybody's in the Ku Klux Klan and there's forced segregation, even though the civil rights happened how many decades ago. But the reality of it, where we live and how it is actually the opposite of that. It's not what they portray. And I get into these rants with these kids where I'm telling them, look, I hear what y'all are saying. And I understand where you're coming from with it, but you need to understand that you're saying what you're saying because you're being controlled. They're manipulating your mind and playing to your emotions, problem, reaction, solution. And they're getting you to buy into this, that it's a social injustice that has to be corrected. When in fact, you can go all the way back to even the first part of the 20th century. And there were specific neighborhoods in certain cities where gays lived openly with no problems whatsoever. There were desegregated neighborhoods that people lived perfectly happily together. There were not problems until it became a problem in the media and with the government. They always push that agenda, and they always show the worst, just like we've talked about before, when they show this massive crowd in the photos, but then you see another photo from farther off, and what looks like tens of thousands of people is actually only maybe 1,000. They always make it look 10 times worse than it truly is, and it doesn't really affect you. But everybody wants to believe that it's going to affect my life. No, it doesn't affect your life.
No, yeah, what affects you is watching media. That's what affects you.
Exactly. Well, as we said, I know that when these kids say what they're saying, they're talking propaganda. They're repeating what they've been told. They haven't gone and looked at it. They're just repeating what their teachers or whatever they've seen in the media. And they've never looked any further, just like with the flat earth. And you've seen my mama, that guy Bill Murray putting his finger to his head. What is it true? Or have you, or do you just believe what they told you? Or have you looked any further, And that's what it is. So I school these kids and wake them up to the fact that, yes, lesbians, gays, and transsexuals should have their rights, but pushing this agenda the way you are, you're playing right into the hands of the controllers that are keeping you slaves to a system that doesn't care about you.
Hi, Dad, love you. That's cool.
So it is, it is problem, reaction, solution. And as we said before with the flat earth, when you see the reactions, as I have, and especially comparing them to past experiences and reactions that I've had with people on other subjects, politics, religion or otherwise, the reactions to flat earth are the most telling to me. That cognitive dissonance kicks in, and I have never seen people get as angry as they do because they grew up watching Star Trek. I watched Star Trek. We all watched Star Trek as kids in reruns,
Yeah.
It was produced from 66 to 69, right before the Apollo landings.
Oh,
then
I
we
know
had
it.
Star Wars, which I saw the original when I was about 8 years old.
Yeah,
at
my
the
mother
theater.
took me. My mother took me to see it in the theater when I was a baby boy.
Yeah. Everybody's all, they're just so beholden to those movies and TV shows that don't try to tell them it's not real, that space is not real, that we can't go to other planets, that they can't someday actually be a Jedi Knight, Oh my God, how horrific. But those reactions that you get proves our point. It is problem, reaction, solution. And when people react in that way, you know full well that they are completely and totally indoctrinated by the school systems, the educational system, the media, the news. And in reality, too, though, at the same time, which I also discovered, was that, you go out on the public street and you just stop people at random and ask them, hey, do you watch the local news? No. Do you watch any of the major news? Not really. They don't know anything about recent events or, as we studied in high school, they always did, what was it called? Where you'd have to clip out a newspaper article or whatever on a recent event and then write an essay on it or something.
Yeah, current events.
Current events, yeah, exactly. Most people don't even pay attention to any of it anymore. They're too busy playing video games, watching movies, and working to try to pay their bills. They don't they could care less about any of it. They're not getting any of it at all. They're just mindless drones going through their lives. But at the same time, if you try to tell them, oh, well, the Earth is not a ball and we're not spinning through space, you still get the same reactions as those who do watch Fox News and CNN religiously. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. So how does that work? How are they programming people even without the media, without news and current events and things and such? It's because it's being programmed through the brain. We've talked about this many times, you know, subliminal messages in old film, where they could put a snippet of a word in so many frames of a film and it would go right to your subconscious. There's how many patents on television where it talks about connecting right with the subconscious brain. Within 30 seconds of watching TV, your brain goes into a meditative state, like a REM sleep, and your subconscious takes over. You're no longer consciously recognizing what you're seeing. You're just being entertained, and your subconscious is being flooded with all of these images that you don't even know that are there. And with high definition television and everything else, especially video games, because I heard you mention that you're plugged into an Xbox.
Oh yeah.
I almost want to not allow those in my house at all. I want to smash them with a hammer every time I see one.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's the other thing too, is that all of it becomes this. How do you get out of it? How do you say no now? Anybody that's got kids, especially young kids, knows exactly how hard it pushes your brain into a beta state. Because if your kid's shoes and socks are right in front of the TV and here SpongeBob's on, and you say, hey, before you start watching that, pick up your fucking shoes and go put them away. They can't hear you at all. They can't hear you. And it's not like they're ignoring you. They're not ignoring you.
No,
the TV has them. I've turned off the when my daughters were young. I didn't have TV at the house. So when we went to someone else's house, especially with these new big flat screen TVs, they'd be zombified because we didn't have it. I didn't have a TV. You know, we'd watch something on the computer sometimes, or we'd put a VHS tape on an old-fashioned TV, but we didn't have a great big TV in the living room. We didn't have television. I didn't have it around. I mean, I did sometimes when I had my crazy ex at the house, but so when we went to somebody else's house, they'd be lost. I remember having to turn off one of my friend's TVs, you know, which is kind of a breach of etiquette to turn off somebody else's television, but my kids wouldn't listen at all. I couldn't get their attention. I was clapping my hands right next to their head, and they still weren't listening to me, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the way that we fix it, and you and I have talked about this before, but for those listening, I even said this when I was in political activism in the militia movement. It's a generational thing. So we have to teach our children to educate themselves, to think openly and critically. And then if they teach their children to do the same, then it's a generational thing. They did this over centuries, so it's going to get fixed over centuries.
That's funny you say that. That's exactly the same thing I said to a man probably 2 years ago now, and his eyes lit up, and he had like a shock response. He's like, oh, shit. I told him it's by attrition. We win the war by attrition. We don't win. There's no victories. There's no battle to rush to psychologically or physically. We win the war by attrition.
Yes.
By not reversing the brainwashing, but by having a more powerful message, i.e. the truth. You can't just stop the brainwashing. You can't tell everybody got to take all their phones away. You can't tell people that they have to do anything, but you can give them a whole bunch of level-headed, reasonable truth to counteract like an antidote to all the bullshit, you know?
And you can't be like these religious leaders where you're preaching it either. You just state it as a matter of fact, give them the facts, and then let them go look at it. Plant those seeds, and then let them go find the truth if they're willing to go look for it.
Yep.
You can't beat it into their heads. And if you try, you're gonna be vilified and ostracized, and you're gonna end up having to block them on your Facebook. And,
That's true. Well, here we're getting a little bit of progress here. It's still not bogging out yet.
Looking good. Looking good.
Those guys,
I'm loving watching you, man. I've always seen you play guitar and sing. I've never seen you draw. I've seen some of your sculptures you've done, but I've never got to see you work.
Oh yeah, well, for the most part, none of the sculptures are original. That's just all the stuff that we're making for other people. But
I think that's again back to what we were talking about, where they've co-opted the arts. You know, back in the day, you could go to certain places in cities, and artists would set up in city squares or whatever, whether they were sculpting, painting, or otherwise, and you could go watch them and watch them work. And you know, most of them, if you asked them, they would tell you what they were doing as they were doing it and teach you how to do it. So that if you had an inclination to try it, you could do it yourself. And we don't have that anymore. Now they have art centers where they portray art, but that's their co-opted art, which elicits a certain reaction in the brain. Just like we see with, now that we've seen the flat earth, you start looking around it. How many of those sculptures are there of the sphere with the gears inside?
Yeah.
And part of it's been torn away or ripped away. They actually had one. I did a meme on Twitter that I know you saw. They had one at the World Trade Center.
Yep.
In the Twin
Vatican,
Towers.
I think.
Yep.
The Vatican has one. There's one at the Louvre. There's one multiple places. They're all over. There's even one on a few places where it's a overlook out in the UK, and they've got this globe sphere sculpture up on a stand, and it's on a lookout where you can see way out over the ocean. And it's like, why would they put a sphere where it's a flat horizon? Because they want to solidify that globe in people's minds when they go to those locations, so that they don't recognize that, hey, guess what? It doesn't curve left to right, people. It's not a ball. It can't be unless we're living on a toilet paper roll.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I feel like I'm living on the toilet, but not on the roll of paper.
Yeah. But what was so interesting about that meme I did on the World Trade Center sculpture was it was right in between the two buildings. And there's a picture before and after. And in the after picture, the sculpture in the little square with the fountain and everything is still there. 2 110-story buildings came down on top of that complex with that sculpture there. But yet here's a photo of firemen and all standing around this sculpture, which is still standing. It's still sitting there.
Wow.
Where's all the debris from all the buildings?
Yeah.
Where did the buildings go? You know, you were talking earlier about how you can always tell who's spreading the most truth because they're the ones who get the least press. They're the ones that most people will vilify. They get ostracized. Judy Woods, who did her speech, did her thing. She's a trained scientist, PhD. And all she did was do a 2-hour presentation on where did the towers go? Where did the debris from those towers go? All she did was present the evidence. And she said that there are energy weapons developed by the military. There already are patents on them that could do this. She never said that's what it might have been. She just offered it as a possibility. And she got so vilified by the guy who was pushing the thermite theory, the controlled demolition theory. And her evidence is irrefutable, in my opinion. Where did the debris go? As a construction professional, I know there's no way that 2 110 stories came down on top of themselves, and there wasn't a 10-story tall pile of rubble. But yet here's this globe statue at the World Trade Center sitting there perfectly, almost untouched by all this stuff that fell down. How does that work? You know, but people will just see it and go, you're a nut job. Put your tinfoil hat on.
Yep. I quit looking at all of it because I knew, that you're not exactly what you're talking about. But I'll tell you this, even though I did quit looking at all the 9/11 stuff, and I used to follow a man named Christopher Bolin, and him,
the guy who was pushing thermite.
Yep, he was him, and but that was definitely him and Daryl Bradford Smith and a man named Eric Huffschmidt. They all worked together, and then slowly over time, and it probably was 2 or 3 years process, they all started to have like a little fissure of disagreement, and then they busted apart in a big dramatic bullshit, and everybody went and followed that drama of who was getting along with who and stopped paying attention to any kind of research. And you see it over and over again, that process of them. They'll parallel somebody's story. See, I've never even, I remember Dr. Judy Wood, and I remember looking at her stuff, but I really enjoyed Christopher Bolin because he was an excellent writer.
Yeah.
You know, and this, I mean, obviously this was a long time ago, you know, but he did real old fashioned investigative journalism, the way he presented everything. And then
but in my opinion, he was controlled opposition.
I think he was. I think he's descended directly from the Bolin family, from Anne Boleyn.
Yep.
You know,
exactly. Yeah.
Really, you know, you know.
Well, he was the one who came out and insulted Dr. Judy Wood and her research,
because it was him,
and he was the one that coined the phrase "ooh, space energy weapons," you know, and he totally negated her work because he vilified it, and everybody was so beholden to him because of his personality and all that it destroyed her work, and nobody would even look at it.
Yeah, and then once all that was done, he vanished, literally vanished.
Yeah, he's gone. Nobody ever says anything else about it. Now it's gone. Everybody's moved on. Don't question any of that stuff no more. Yeah, and that's probably what'll happen to the flat Earth too. There'll be small pockets of people still talking about it like us, but for the most part, it'll fade from the mainstream. You know, those controlled opposition that you and I have talked about, that we know who they are.
All right.
It's pretty obvious when you see them.
Really, we just brought it full circle again, that back in the days of studying 9/11, they had us divided on two opposite sides of each other.
Yep, absolutely.
Pretty much becomes the theme of this whole show, this whole broadcast. Is that
is flat Earth a circle or a square? Well, now I'm going to fight you over the fact that I think it's a circle, you think it's a square.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is.
No, we don't. I mean, that's
but everybody's going to fight over it.
Right. The reason I say I see evidence that it's not a circle is because of the fact that the sun does travel straight at the equator on the equinoxes. But that doesn't mean that's the only way that that's explained either. But so far as making anything like a feasible, reasonable model, I don't see the circle working, and I see the circle being pushed the most. So then that makes me conflicted. Like, if everyone's going over here with this model, then I'm contrary in general. Like, if everybody's lining up in that line and there's another line, I'll probably choose the fucking other line, even if it's longer. You know?
Speaking of which, one of the things that I was wanting to scream at you guys the other night when you were talking about that, where the sun does appear to be in a straight line at the equator, right?
Right.
Just like your brother was saying, Adam, that even any arc, if you zoom in close enough to it, you will see a straight line. You won't see the arc any longer. And on the circular model, if you're inside of the equatorial line, which is the equinox, right? What you're talking about, you're talking about a much larger arc. So if you're outside of that equatorial line and you're in the southern hemisphere, as they call it, then that path of the sun would appear to be more straight because it's in a much larger circle. Whereas where I'm at, and I did this in a video I did on my channel just not too long ago, where I was just testing out a new phone, but I pointed out that I have a cell phone tower on the hill due east of me. And every year for the last 10 years, because I've lived here longer than I've lived anywhere else in my life, I've watched the sun come up every morning I can see it. I watch it set every evening that I can see it. And I watch it go north to south, north to south. And when it rises or gets closer, is the proper description of it. It doesn't actually rise. It's just getting closer to us, or to me specifically. It does appear to come closer, farther north, but then eventually ends up looking like it's south. It's further south. And then when it sets, it appears, due to perspective, it goes down at about a 15-degree angle to the northwest. It rises at about a 15 to 20 degree to the south and sets to the north. That tells me that it's perspective and that it's going in a circle over my head, because here in Texas, I'm not even a mile from just north of the 33rd parallel, which puts me just 10 degrees north of 23 degrees, which is the Tropic of Cancer, where it is during the solstice, the summer solstice. It's not even 10 degrees south of me. When it's right directly overhead at noon, The shadows here where I'm at 10 degrees north are just barely, there's barely a shadow to the north side of any object when it's at noon. But in the
So it's almost like Lahaina noon in Hawaii.
Yeah, it is, because I'm so close to the Tropic of Cancer around the summer solstice. There is no real shadow cast at noon. The shadow is directly underneath your car, and the shadow is maybe just an inch or two north of the object that it's casting a shadow. But in the morning, when the sun is getting closer, of course, it casts this long shadow. Well, but the shadow is being cast to the southwest because the sun is coming from the northeast. And then in the evening, it is setting to the northwest, and the shadows are cast to the southeast, which tells me that the sun is going in a circle, in an arc over my head, not up and over, but closer to me, and then to just south of me, and then beyond, and then it sets to the northwest to my perspective.
Oh no, I understand. I know exactly what you're talking about. And we've got theories and ideas of how that works together with the square model too. And don't think I'm trying to disagree with you. This is still to the point, you know.
Your point that when you guys were talking last week, your brother was saying, and it is true. And I did this with I just used Microsoft Paint, and I did a scale model of an arc of the Earth at 25,000 miles circumference. And I scaled it down, and then I drew a line with a little circle on top to represent the Red Bull jump, parachute jump that Baumgartner did. And when I calculated it out, of course, I'm giving the Earth, the globe Earth model, a little bit of leadway, because I actually made the circle. You couldn't do it big enough in paint, so I had to do it like 40 inches to scale. So the circle that I drew was 40 inches in diameter, and then I cut out just the top arc of it, and the line that I drew for the height of Baumgartner's capsule, alleged capsule, was only 3/16 of an inch, right? So it's 3/16 to 40 inches in diameter on the arc, and then I showed where I drew the lines down to the arc of that curve, and then the lines level outwards from the top of that line, and showed unequivocally in a scale drawing that if Baumgartner was that high, even as big as the Earth is, it's only 3/16 of an inch in scale. He still would have had to look down at almost a 30-degree angle to be able to see the horizon of that globe. So that, you know, any of these people that try to say, well, the Earth is so big, you're like an ant on a basketball, that if the arc is so large, you're still just going to see a straight line. No, when you put it to scale in mathematics, that does not hold true. It absolutely does not hold true.
No, I don't. If you go on my YouTube channel here where we're talking and go to my Flat Earth playlist, there's 2 or 3 videos in there that the guys work it up in the AutoCAD, you know.
I have all the versions of that too. It's 15-digit precision AutoCAD. I used to use AutoCAD. I was in construction. I was an estimator. I wasn't just a carpenter. As you know, I did lots of things. My last job was lead superintendent. I worked my way up from digging the ditches all the way up to management. But I'm a master carpenter by trade. That was my primary trade, was a carpenter. That's what I did most of my work in my early days. But so when I scale it out myself and I look at it, it cannot be a ball. It cannot be a sphere. It has to be flat and level. Water's always level. But back to what you were saying about, is it square or is it a round Earth? From my point of view, where I am at 33 degrees north, which is the equatorial line is 0, right? So I'm 33 degrees north, which is about 3,300 miles north, nautical miles, because the degrees are in nautical miles. And I said this in my video. Anybody who hasn't done this, go look up a mile, a nautical mile, and a kilometer. You go to Wikipedia and look up a mile, there's like 8 different versions of a mile. They can't even decide what a mile is, right? And then they tell you, well, it's nautical miles. Well, that's because they use that for the GPS coordinates to hide the ball, to hide the flat earth. I know that. But when we're talking about the sun and how it appears in the sky, knowing what I know about perspective as an artist and being trained in architectural drafting and in art drawing, sketching, you know, I've had both art and mechanical and engineering art drawing. And from my perspective, the sun, the moon, and the wandering stars, planets, are traveling in an arc circle over my head. It is coming towards me from the northeast. It's going south of me and then going back northwest of me. And I watch it do that from summer to winter. And I pointed out in my video that that tower is at 90 degrees east, according to the compass, allowing for magnetic declination, which a lot of people don't know about either. And if you don't know about that, go look up declination for a compass. Depending on where you are, because of the electromagnetic field, if you don't know what your declination is, your compass is going to give you an incorrect reading as to due north, south, east, west. So I know that that tower is 90 degrees east of me from where I'm standing looking at it in front of my house. And I have a road intersection and right outside my house that is north. The one road runs due north, north-south, and then the other road that goes up to the tower runs due east, 90 degrees east. And I use that as my point of reference for when the sun in the morning when the sun's rising. And I've watched it go, how far I can see it go north and how far I can go see it south for the last 10 years. And then I can see it to the west. When I'm up on that hill at that tower, I can go up and look and see where the sun is when it's setting, quote unquote. It's going away from me. And everything as far as my senses are concerned and what I understand about perspective and everything else and navigation, the sun is circling over us in a circle. It's going in an arc. It's not going in a straight line. Now, maybe at the equator, because it is a larger arc, right? Because even here where I'm at, when it is at the equinox, it rises just behind that tower and does appear to go straight over my head and then back down again. It doesn't have that pronounced angle of rise and angle of setting east to west. It does appear to come straight up, go straight overhead, and then straight back down, right? And that's at 33 degrees south, whereas at the solstice, it's at 10 degrees south of me. At the equinox, it's 33 degrees south of me. And then in the wintertime, right, it's now 58 degrees or 56 degrees south of me because it's now at the Tropic of Capricorn, which is 23 degrees south. Correct? Right. And so at the equinox, yes, even to my perspective, it does appear to rise directly east and set directly west, which would give the illusion that it is still going, it's in a straight line. But that's just because it's a larger circle. It's a bigger arc. In the wintertime, it definitely looks like it's going straight across the sky. The arc of it is not as pronounced as it is in the winter solstice is much of a straighter line than the summer solstice is from my perspective where I'm at in Texas. Am I making myself clear?
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
So when it is the equinox and the winter solstice for those of us north, it does appear to be straighter. It looks like it's going in a straighter line. But in my summer solstice here, it is absolutely going in a circular arc from northeast to northwest. But at high noon, when I'm looking at it, it looks to be south of me. It's not right over my head because I'm 10 degrees north of it. So it is slightly just south of me. And I can tell that because when I'm looking up at it, it appears to be right at about 8 degrees, 10 degrees south of me as I'm looking up at it. It's not 90 degrees right above my head. It's actually about 80 degrees above my head. which I'm only 10 degrees north of where it's at for the solstice. So that makes perfect sense in my mind as I see it. And I can draw it out on paper. You know, I can scale it, and it makes absolute perfect sense. And I also want to make a side note here for people out there that may be watching and everybody's trying to figure out, well, where is the sun? How high is it? And how big is it? Unless you go up in an airplane and get above the atmosphere, we're never going to be able to figure that out. Because unless you're allowing for atmospheric conditions, relative humidity, temperature, and all of that, your view of that sun and your measurement of its location is going to be askewed. The same way that a straw looks to be cut when it's sitting in a glass of water. Water diffuses the view. So no matter how we try to measure the sun from the ground, you're never going to get a very accurate measurement. You're going to have to get high above the atmosphere where the air is thinner and there's a lot less water, humidity, and then we could possibly get some better accurate measurements. But somebody I've interviewed in the past has pointed out, how do they gauge altitude in a plane? It's based off of a sliding scale due to atmospheric pressure. They measured pressure at sea level, average median pressure, air pressure at sea level, and then they measure it as high up as they could get up on a mountain. And then they take that scale and they say, okay, well, if it's from 0 to say 20,000 feet, it decreases in pressure so much %. So it must be continuously that much all the way up. And they assume that that is true. And that is how an altimeter works. What tells the airplane, the pilot, how high he is based off of atmospheric pressure, but it's only based on a scale from about 0 to 20,000 feet on a mountain.
Right. Yeah, I remember the hangout that you guys were in. Right, shit, it was probably 2 years ago now, and we were all going over that about how that's how they estimate the scale for altitude, and then when they start talking about satellite space and everything else, that all becomes a jump into just stupidity of numbers, you know.
Exactly.
Because then they try and take that even farther, and it becomes pieces of pieces of pieces of pieces, you know.
And as a perfect example of this for people listening, think of temperature, Celsius and Fahrenheit, and the difference between the two. 32 degrees Fahrenheit is the freezing point of water. 0 in Celsius is the freezing point of water. So there's a 32-degree difference between Celsius and Fahrenheit. Well, if you try to use that and say, okay, well, if it's 32 degrees Celsius, then it's 64 degrees Fahrenheit. That doesn't work. That's not the scale between Celsius and Fahrenheit. That doesn't work. You can't use that scale. That's not the correct number for the difference between them.
No, they work like gears, not like 2 lengths of string.
Yeah. So what they're telling us about altitude, we don't know, because all they've ever been able to use is 0 to 20,000 feet.
Yeah,
only the military and commercial aircraft that go above 20,000 feet can actually tell us what atmospheric pressure is at that altitude. If that is the true altitude that they're even at, because how do they know? Because they started with that scale of 20,000 feet, and now they're going to say they're 200,000 feet up, and that same scale worked.
We need to get one of those fucking hovering airplanes and drop a plumb bob.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no kidding.
If you stand on the ground, Zen, I'll trust you how far you say it is.
yeah, exactly. Well, I was going to point that out because somebody showed those videos of a plane. It showed a big 747 coming in for a landing, and it looked like it was just hovering. It was just sitting still. And they were like, oh, my God, look at that. The plane's not even moving. So I actually went and found a YouTube video, and you can go look one up if you want. There's videos of Cessna pilots, private pilots, who have done YouTube videos where they show their ground speed is 0. They're flying into a headwind, and their relative ground speed on their indicator says that they ain't moving.
Yeah, well, we've all seen birds do it.
Yeah.
the wind. We've all
Yeah,
seen birds. just
anybody who lives
hover
on the
there.
coast seen a seagull hovers on the wind.
Just stays there, you know. I mean, so
Exactly.
and the reason I point all that stuff out is if people do, or if people are in here live, or they decide to come back and they're bored and put something as strange as this on in the background, or they want to sit and listen to it,
Mhm.
they need to realize that there's thousands and thousands of us out here looking at all this stuff, and
Yeah.
the most radical and insane idea is often what they're pushing, and that is a clue that that's probably not the case. You
As
know?
we said before, you got to
you know,
learn about Occam's razor and go back to the simplest.
It's probably it's not impossible that JFK faked his death. It's not impossible. It's pretty fucking unlikely that he faked his death and came back as Jimmy Carter and proceeded to not only be president again, but continue to live out his life and be out there helping with carpentry on homeless shelters and shit in the news.
Habitat for Humanity.
It seems really, you're really making a stretch at that point. You know, there's lots of
That's just elevator music to keep you distracted while you're riding on it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I don't doubt that there's been some amazing hoaxes perpetuated, but I don't think that they're as outlandish as, you know. Is it possible that they've faked some murders and some really big name people? Sure, but they probably just took those people away where you can't see them anymore, and they lived out their life. But you know, they didn't bring them back out for round 2.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I really doubt it'd be pretty tough to be Bill Hicks and have to live out the rest of your fucking life as Alex Jones, wouldn't it?
Anybody who's ever watched Bill Hicks knows that would be impossible for Bill Hicks to do. He could not play that part as well as he does. If he was actually Alex Jones, there's no way he could play that part for this long and keep it up. He wasn't that kind of guy. There's no way.
No, I mean, I don't know. That's
a good example. Jim Morrison, who supposedly died in France, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, his dad was the admiral over the Gulf of Tonkin incident, which started the Vietnam War, and he was part of that Laurel Canyon sect that we talked about. That they co-opted the whole hippie movement, right?
Yeah.
Well, after you and I had talked about that subject last, I got to thinking about Jim Morrison. Did they really kill him or not? Did he just fade away? Well, it's quite possible that they did possibly kill him, because if he was doing the kind of drugs that many, many people saw him doing and drinking the way that he was, and why was he doing that? Because he knew he was living a lie, because he'd been conditioned that way since birth. Quite possibly Morrison grew a conscience. He wasn't a psychopath like a lot of them, and they did take him out. They had to take him out because he was going to start writing about it, because actually he was more of a writer than he was a singer. He started out as a poet, supposedly, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So in my mind, it's kind of plausible that some of these people, they do take them out because they start growing a conscience and go, I can't live this lie. You can only play a part for so long. Even actors try their best not to get locked into a certain part in a TV show or whatever it is. Leonard Nimoy from Star Trek is a perfect example. His career was ruined because no matter whatever role he played after Spock, everybody always wanted it. Every time he turned his head, everybody would expect his ears to be pointed.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just like Jack Nicholson, if you watch him in a regular drama, and he's a reasonable dramatic actor, not the best, but he's okay at it. You still expect him to go nuts, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
and you're anticipating it, and that's what I don't know. I think that's a big part of it, is that they exaggerate the idea that that they've got such a lock on things that people are able to pull off things that, if you think of it as if you had to do it or someone you know had to do it, then it becomes really unlikely and a lot less feasible. Like, you know, like you can't even most people can't work the same job for 20 years, even if it's a job they love. You just get burned out. You go nuts. You got to get away from it, man.
The best actors are psychopaths, because psychopaths grow up learning how to mimic emotions and personalities to coexist in society without exposing themselves as that completely apathetic, unemotional individuals.
Right.
That's why we do see these great actors out there who are co-opted. They are part of the system because they are psychopaths. They are able to emulate any emotion they want, any person they want, and they can keep it up for a long time. Look at all the stories of these great actors who, Johnny Depp is an example. When he was doing the Pirates of the Caribbean, he wouldn't take off his costume and makeup when they were doing a shoot. He would keep his costume and all on, and he would go to children's hospitals.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ways that they paint him as an angel. Oh, he's this great guy because he used to go to children's hospitals dressed like Jack Sparrow and go show up as his character, and he could portray the character perfectly. There's a great, excellent documentary that Jim Carrey did when he played Andy Kaufman, Man in the Moon.
Yep.
But Jim Carrey has recently released a documentary on Netflix about when he was playing that part. He literally irritated the hell out of everybody because he took on the persona of Andy Kaufman and would not drop it until after the movie was over.
Yeah, it's common. It's method acting is common. Yeah. Like with Daniel Day-Lewis, I would say is probably the greatest living actor of our time. And if you go read about his personal life, he doesn't have one. He's a depressed. He's not. There's no person there. If he doesn't have a role that he's working on, then he's not there. There's no person there. You know?
That I think, in my opinion, looking at it, I think that is because the greatest actors we have seen in history were all psychopaths. Because who makes a better actor than a psychopath? Somebody who has been teaching themselves their whole lives how to mimic others and mimic emotions. People who have real emotions and have, real apathy or empathy, they can't be apathetic. They can't not care or change how they feel.
Oh yeah, I figure if we get to about the 30th week of doing this, and me and Jim are going to be like, to hell with this stupid RX only picture show shit.
Well, I know that's the case with me and I don't do very many YouTube channels because I'm not going to pump them out. It's not a job to me. It's just something I do once in a while. I might make 3 or 5 videos in a row for a couple months, and then I'll go away for a year and a half. Sorry,
yeah, exactly.
That's the way it is. That's not my job. This isn't my life.
No,
Same way as I dropped off of Twitter for a while. After a while, it just gets to be mundane, and you're like, what's the point? I got to go do something else. Yep. You can only keep something up for so long, and especially like me, who grew up as an Army brat, it drives me nuts that I've lived here for 10 years. I don't know what to do. I got to get out of here.
Well, come on up here and see us, man. I think we're going to go ahead and cut this thing, man. I got to take a piss, and I'm ready to call it.
Yeah, I got to run. My wife just came in. She's ready for bed. It's almost midnight here. It's almost 11:30.
It's got to be getting late. I got an old lady at home, too, so.
That's
well, yeah,
right.
We'll
I appreciate you guys letting me jump in, man, and share my knowledge.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah.
Hey, have a good night, Zen. Keep us on the update when you're coming, because if you give us a few weeks' notice, maybe we can make a plan to all go up to the mountains or something, man.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I don't know if I'll be actually come up there to get the camper itself, but I may just make a trip just to go take a road trip, come see you guys, and stop by and check them out while I'm up there.
Oh yeah, you know what I mean. If you definitely start to get a plan, give us as much notice as you can, so that way we can make a plan to have time.
Well, I've got a plan because my wife's got family out in California, because I used to live out there, as you know. So I go out to California, drop her off to see family, visit with them for a couple of days, then head north, go straight through Oregon, stop by the factory, check out the campers, and then keep on going north and stop by you guys.
Cool.
And then backtrack back home and kill 3 birds with 1 stone instead of just 2. Yeah, we'll see how it works out. I'll let you know for sure. Thanks, guys, for allowing me to join you. I had a great time, and you guys keep it up. You're doing great. Love to see you, Sean, as always. Nice meeting you, Jim.
Nice to meet you, Zen.
Everybody take care out there. I'll see you on the flip side. Stay safe and stay proactive.
Yep. All right, man. Take it easy.
Later.
Good night.
And we're going to have to call that a wrap, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a good show.
RX Only Picture Show Round 3. I think this is only the 2nd week, but we're still going to call it the 3rd show because we did 2 shows last week. Ugh, what do you think of that? So tune in next week when we should have Mr. Michael McGuinn from, I think, he's got some fancy record label name. I don't know. He'll have to come next week and tell you. Okay.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
That was fun. His end's cool.
Did you stop?
Shit, stop.